Over 20 years ago, Alex Jones created the media platform called Infowar, and in the decades since, it's grown into a truly remarkable institution with over 200 radio affiliates, tens of millions of unique website visitors monthly, and a 24/7 live news TV channel broadcasting from state-of-the-art studios in Austin, Texas. Infowar has become the most trusted independent news source in the country, dedicated to delivering breaking news, live coverage of special events, and exclusive reports you won't find anywhere else. While the old guard media struggles to maintain supremacy in a landscape rocked by innovation and technology, Infowar has been at the forefront of the information revolution. From 8 million radio listeners, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, or the billions of views of our online content, Infowar proves dominant in every facet of media we enter. For the hardest-hitting reports, uncompromising analysis, for high-profile interviews and bombshell revelations, accept no substitutes. Demand truth. Demand Infowar. Infowar. Tomorrow's news today.
Well, the globalist takeover of America and the world isn't going quite like it was supposed to go. In fact, their operations are getting blown and destroyed all over the planet. They are viciously counter-striking back as the big red-blooded wave of pro-human nationalism, populism, and renaissance, the red blood that unifies us, surges back into the collective veins and arteries of the population of the world. Life is coming back into what appeared to be the dead corpse being fed on by the globalists, who were able to consolidate incredible power, consolidate trillions of dollars, while humanity was asleep. But now that they have an opponent, they don't know what to do. I'm Alex Jones. It's Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Already the 28th day of June, 2018. We'll be live here for the next 4 hours. Roger Stone's going to be joining us with exclusive information about Wray and Rosenstein clearly perjuring themselves in the ongoing hearings. They've been caught red-handed before lying, just like McCabe lied to Congress and said he wasn't involved in the program spying on the president. It is simply incredible when you followed what's really going on. I just saw 15 minutes ago live, and they're watching it. Barely get ready for the broadcast. I was glued to it. And we've got some of these clips coming up. We're grabbing them still as we speak. We've got these individuals running around, Rosenstein and others saying, oh, we can't answer it. No, we have no knowledge of prior to June 2016 Trump being spied on. When they've all been caught, it's in the text messages on record that they were all in there doing it. And he also says that his staffers are lying, that he never threatened them. Rosenstein says that. It's just incredible. I mean, there's just solid gold in there proving unbelievable ongoing perjury. Remember back when Comey was testifying last year, 3 times I told you he's perjuring there, and now it's all come out that they're lying under oath. So it'll take some while to go over all this, but just what I watched this morning was unbelievable lies. You couldn't write the lies down fast enough, and these guys playing dumb as well. So it's pretty amazing. And oh, Rosenstein knew nothing about them sending a Russian operative that was one of their operatives who didn't even have a Russian name, trying to give them dirt on Hillary, wanting $2 million. He knew nothing about that. Well, guess what? They've been shredding documents. They've been refusing to give them to Congress. Now he's given them some of them. It said there's more. Oh, we don't know where they went. Oh, they got sent off to the shredder. He's talking about floundering and acting guilty, but trying to put on a little tough guy attitude. This is a sickening group of people. Just like McCabe said, oh, I'm against the whole Russiagate thing. I know they did this. I'm not political. And then turned out he was running the whole thing. It's sick. And now even the leftist Hill and others are saying, well, get ready to be disappointed. There's really nothing there. There's nothing there on the Trump side. But there's plenty. There's plenty there on the Democrat side. So here's the bottom line. We have the globalists in total conniption fits over the justice leaving. And, of course, it was Roger Stone telling you that he would be leaving when they released these final group of rulings that they just did yesterday. He's retiring. giving the leftists the biggest fits of fear they've had yet. We're going to be going through some of that. But here's the deal. Roger's getting on an airplane right now. He's off in 3 hours. But I talked to him right before he took off. And I remember what he and others told me back when president was just president-elect. And then when the vacancy came up about who Trump's main pick was. But then they came to the president and they said, sir, but you promised to go with the most conservative judge. We've got a computer program that's going to decide that. So he said, okay, in round one, we'll go with what the computer picks. In round two, we're picking somebody else, and I know who it is. So I know who the current pick is right now. We'll come back with that. You know, the whole globalist program to sabotage free markets and to bring in global tyranny run by megacorporations using socialism and communism to domesticate populations is being sabotaged by the people of the world waking up. So their attempt to sabotage us has now been reversed to a great extent. It's getting more intense every day, and the red wave of red blood, pro-humanity, pro-free market, pro-destiny is rising. There's not just a red wave here in America coming. It's already hit many areas of the world. We're in a global war against corporate global government. And if you read what the Financial Times of London says or what Conrad Black says, former steering member of the Bilderberg Group, or if you read what Atlantic Monthly says, or you read CIA reports that are restricted but not classified, they now know the globalists are losing. They are irrevocably in deep, deep trouble. Now, they've still got the trillions of dollars they stole. And they can still engage in incredible mischief with that. But the Bezoses and the rest of the folks, the Bill Gateses out there, better watch it. Because if they want to fight, you better believe they've got one. So a lot of really, really exciting things happening and unfolding right now. Globalism was sold as this wonderful system of everybody living in equality and transferring wealth to the third world. But really it was a way to keep the third world controlled, drive down wages in the West, and then play the third world off against the West for total economic and cultural domination out of the clashing of civilizations. The UN, the IMF, the World Bank would then come in as the policeman of the world to stabilize the planet that they themselves had destabilized. Now, I've been telling people that for 23 years because I read what Senator Barry Goldwater discovered when he was in the classified hearings. I also read what Tragedy and Hope author, who was on the enemy side, wrote in a 1,100-page book. And I read dozens and dozens of other books, hundreds of other magazine articles from Foreign Affairs and others who thought you were so stupid, who thought I was so stupid, that they would have their own admitted world government plan going on in plain view. But then if we criticized it, have ABC, CBS, NBC, and then later CNN, MSNBC say we were crazy. Oh, I don't want Obamacare. It's a ripoff. You're racist. I don't like the Federal Reserve being private, being above the law. You're anti-Semitic. These are the talking points that they used for decades on everybody, like Ron Paul, myself. But it didn't work, ladies and gentlemen. It didn't work. I mean, I remember 12 years ago, Drudge started linking to foreign newspaper articles about Bilderberg, and our media was so controlled in the U.S., they would say it was insane and didn't exist. Now they had articles this year saying that Bilderberg is saving the world, that Bilderberg tells the truth, that Bilderberg are the guardians of freedom. That was in CNBC just a few weeks ago. That a private consortium of mega banks and ultra-rich men meeting in secret to establish a world government and taxation power that they're exempt from is a good thing. So we have absolutely ultra-massive awakenings happening. It doesn't mean, though, that there's some utopia on the other side. We've just got a better chance of building a better world and having prosperity and freedom now because we're identifying the current global, corrupt, kleptocratic, authoritarian, austerity-based system with a goal of absolute total tyranny. This is the reality. And the victory over Hillary, the main minion of the globalist here in North America, the keeper of the secrets, the keeper of the corruption, and her big foundation with $4 billion in it being used to pay everybody off to be part of this, you could say that beating her in the campaign was one step in the victory. Beating her in the campaign was one step to victory. But just as you, in the mythical Greek story of her head being severed, that is only the first feat. You then have to defeat the globalist Kraken with the head. But as a symbol of the globalist failure, as a symbol of their media lying that she'd be the winner, as the symbol of them saying Hillary must win or the dominoes falling to bring down globalism will be complete, archetypally, Trump is now holding up the Gorgon head and all the corruption and all the secrets and the entire global network tied into her as one of the top managers. He now has the Medusan head to take on the Kraken of the global network, the Chi-Coms, the unelected EU, Hollywood, all of it. That's why we have to continue to use her and bring her up and show how evil she is and bad and how she's a fraud and the corruption she was involved in. All of it trail back into the enemy's nest. And her head is a blueprint to defeat them and to expose their corruption and have all the other dominoes fall in Washington, which will then fall into London and Brussels and Paris, right through into the Vatican, right through into Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, right through back into Berlin and Madrid, right through across Moscow, all the way into China. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. And so Trump now, like Perseus, with the head of Medusa, is ready to vanquish the globalists. The archetype is true. There's one more thing, though. The horse. If Trump doesn't have the air, if Trump can't get his ideas across, he can't get up in the Titan's face, the Kraken, and fry it. And that's why we're in an information war. We've got to get Trump on the horse, in the sky, with the head, and we'll win. So there is your analogy of Trump and the Gorgon and the Kraken. Because believe me, they are releasing the Kraken. Soros used to spend maybe $1 billion a year trying to overthrow governments and do evil stuff. He just put tens of billions in. It's $18 billion a year he's now spending, trying to vaporize everybody. They're just flame-throwing everything. The communist Chinese are just throwing everything they've got at us. I mean, this is World War IV. Between the globalists and all their corrupt allies and all the parasitic crap they do. I mean, almost any evil you investigate, you run into Soros and the UN and the IMF and the World Bank. Like most of, it was in the news yesterday, it was in Bloomberg, that most of the workers' comp and ambulance chaser, exploding tire stuff in the country is financed by George Soros. And I already knew that. But think about that. Think about the level of that behavior. He spends millions per county to get certain sheriffs elected. He spends tens of millions to get state reps elected. He'll spend $100 million to get a congressman or woman elected. And he's doing it all over the world. Now, continuing, ladies and gentlemen, they are all in because they are losing. We are winning. Now, coming up at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to tell you currently, exclusively, hiding in plain view, who is currently the person about to be nominated to replace the outgoing Justice Kennedy. And I was told this back at the time. I know about what went on. I know the inside baseball. I was told all of it. And then a lot of it came out later in the news. But I'm going to tell you who currently, it may change, but who currently they are looking to put on the U.S. Supreme Court. It couldn't be a better person. So I am very, 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 very excited to be able to bring you this information. You might want to call your neighbors, your friends, your family, tell them to tune into Infowars.com/show or on the Twitter or Facebook or YouTube feeds or on local TV stations or radio stations where you're listening. That's how we reach more people. That's how we get around the censors. It's how we get into the air with the truth. That's our weapon system. That we've severed the head of the globalist. That we've taken back control of the beachhead. But now we've got to go face the larger global enemy that has been turned loose against us. This was only step one. But severing the head of the deep state here is a weapon we must use against the larger enemy, the Chi-Coms, the Devil Pope, the EU, and Hollywood. That is the consortium, that is the Kraken that we now face. Newswars.com. Okay, I've been on the phone with folks basically asking me not to say who Trump has picked as the Supreme Court replacement for Justice Kennedy. And I was told by multiple sources at the time about this, and I was not told this in confidence. And we've even talked about this on air before. But I've already told you that I'm going to say who is, let's just say this then, in the front running. Even though this individual's been told, you're next. You're the next one. So I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. But this is big breaking exclusive news. If you weren't listening to the broadcast when the last guy got put in. Gorsuch. So this will be exclusive. This information is directly from El Presidente. But then I made some phone calls, and they were like, well, yeah, that's the case, but that could change, definitely in the hunt, in the front of the running. But then why can't Infowars have the big exclusive, you see? That's the establishment cannot stand that. But I know there's a lot of smart people, too, that just say, who knows how that fits into the calculus or whatever. It's just very, very exciting things are happening. And I couldn't think of a better Supreme Court person to be put in there. I'm sure most of you already know who we're talking about. A lot of you listen every day. I mean, you know that we break literally most of the big news. It's crazy. We listed all 3 FBI moles inside the Trump campaign first by name. We knew a year before who they were, but didn't want to get sued by them. So people that listen every day, you know you get tomorrow's news, next year's news today. That said, we've got some very exciting video right now. We've got it queued up from C-SPAN. It's amazing. And it's Gowdy. Say what you want about him. He's now saying, your investigation's hurting America. It's a fraud. This whole thing's a scam. Jim Jordan annihilates the FBI director and his corrupt boss, who thinks he's the head of the Justice Department, Rosenstein. And both men are caught lying, especially Rosenstein, perjuring themselves. It's incredible. I mean, it's just as bad as Comey. It's amazing. Oh, they know nothing about an investigation prior to June of 2016, when it's on record they all knew about the investigation going on in 2015. They knew nothing about money being paid to Fusion GPS to make up the dossier. They know nothing. They know nothing. It's like an episode of Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing. Nothing. It's ridiculous. That's why suddenly AP, Reuters, The Hill, New York Times, Russiagate's over. You're going to get disappointed. It's over. It's done. What are we going to do? But don't think Mueller and those corrupt loons are going to throw the towel in. They're just going to make up more crap. But this is quite a spectacle. Democrats saying attack the family, kidnap Trump's son, murder everyone, kill me, kill more members of Congress, firebomb talk show host, firebomb Steven Crowder. I can't even keep track of the crazy stuff they're doing now. And physically, like trying to lynch mob me on the street while I walk around a leftist area. They're lunatics until you stand up, then they start crapping themselves. Like, go ahead, big tough guys. This isn't a simulation. What do you think, I'm playing games? You think the president's playing games? We're taking the country back. So in this segment and the next, I'm going to play powerful clips from the hearings going on today. And then the last segment of this hour, because I want to make some phone calls in the breaks to get the best statement I can make on this, because what I said is accurate. I know who the president told, you are my next nominee after the first one. But then the issue is I was never told, don't talk about that. But then it becomes, well, don't steal the president's fire. The president doesn't care. The president and his folks have told me, attack, press the attack. I can't be sitting here politicking, trying to always calculate every angle. We'll see. We'll see what I get into. Right now, let's go to this quick clip from Fox. And then we'll go to the actual clip from C-SPAN, the full clip. Here it is.
Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein going before the House Judiciary Committee about the Department of Justice and FBI's actions in the run-up to the 2016 election. GOP Congressman Trey Gowdy slamming bias within the agencies and demanding more transparency for the American people in their ongoing investigations.
Russia attacked this country. They should be the target, but Russia isn't being hurt by this investigation right now. We are. This country is being hurt by it. We are being divided. If you have evidence of wrongdoing by any member of the Trump campaign, present it to the damn grand jury. If you have evidence that this president acted inappropriately, present it to the American people.
I think the best thing we can do is finish it appropriately and reach a conclusion. And I certainly agree with you, sir. The people should not jump to conclusions without seeing the evidence. I've been the victim of fake news attacks myself. So.
This has
He's been the victim of fake news attacks himself. He just lied to the president over and over again and knew about this whole thing and put a bunch of papers in front of him to change the command structure of the Justice Department to put him in charge of everything. Rosenstein, at bare minimum, is a cowardly traitor to this country who hedged his bets with Hillary and then tried to cover it up. But evidence shows they've still been continuing their criminal operations against the president and this republic. And that has a name when you try to overthrow the vote of the country, when you've got a president and people executing the Constitution faithfully. It's called treason, brother. So we're going to go to break. We're going to come back with the full clips from the highlights of what happened today. Now, that said, ladies and gentlemen, Infowars is the tip of the spear, recognized as the shock troops of the rebirth of pro-human, populist, Western Renaissance ideas globally. So therefore, we're under unmitigated demonization, attack, you name it. And that's why when you share the links, the videos, the articles, it is an act of resistance and victory over the enemy. Of course you're going to be attacked. Of course they're going to come at you. We're not trying to be popular with the enemy. We're trying to win. And we are winning, but we're in the thick of the battle and must press the attack right now. We're winning. They're scared. They're throwing everything they got at us. They could still win if we don't press the attack. That means go full out. That's what we're doing. I'm trying to expand. I'm trying to full out here. And they know it. I need fuel, and I make it easy. Fuel, energy symbols in this world is money. And when you buy fluoride-free high-quality toothpaste you need, or any of the 80-plus great supplements we have, or books, or T-shirts, or films, or all sorts of great preparedness items, thousands of great items, at InfoWarsStore.com, you are fueling one of the main information warfare batteries, one of the main guns that is smashing enemy emplacements and burning them to the ground right now. So if you want to crush the globalists, you want to continue to win, and get tired of winning and see the whole culture turn around, your kids' futures be secured, communism finally destroyed, life essential technologies released. If you want it all, then you've got to fund those that are willing to hit the barbed wire first. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. We've got huge sales, 50% off the high-quality toothpaste right now, 33% off the Sleep Aid Knockout, that's a bestseller, the Alexa Pure Breezes, all of them. Red Wave worldwide.
President Trump gives every indication by what he says and what he does and what he doesn't do that he's mean as a wolverine.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
But they took a lot of people away. People that they thought were going to make trouble for them. People that had guns or things they wanted, they just took them away.
Where?
Re-education camps, that's what they call it.
So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
I have decided we really need
camps for adults. And we need the kind of camps that you all run. I mean, really.
All persons of Japanese descent were required to register. Now they were taken to racetracks and fairgrounds where the Army almost overnight had built assembly centers.
Come on, I'm a sorry citizen. I refuse to recognize you guys.
What kind of a situation in the U.S. would you see that happening?
I mean, we've got a lot of constitutionalists and a lot of people that stockpile weapons.
Plus, you have a lot of people that are coming out of the military that have the ability and the knowledge to build IEDs and to defeat law enforcement techniques.
These people are radicalized and they don't support the United States and they're disloyal to the United States. It's our right and our obligation to segregate them from the normal community.
That's what we're doing here, and let's not kid about it. We're building a domestic army because the government is afraid of its own citizens.
Put your gun down, really?
Rallying patriots worldwide in defense of human liberty. It's Alex Jones.
Are you some kind of a constitutionalist?
Wolverines! So these people who hold themselves out to be patriots are not. They're nothing more than domestic terrorists.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
President Trump gives every indication by what he says and what he does and what he doesn't do that he's mean as a Wolverine.
Wolverines! No weapon formed against us shall prosper. You know, the left attacks me and they go, oh, you're now for the military and for the police when you always hated them and you were the big police state guy. No, I was against the left and the globalists and the Ford Foundation and the Southern Poverty Law Center with the training manuals, with the video that police and military sent us because they cared, being trained that America was bad, that the Bill of Rights is bad, that George Washington is bad, that free market is bad, and that gun owners are going to have to be put in FEMA camps. Now, you just heard Wesley Clark from CNN 4 years ago saying, segregate constitutionalist. Well, guess what you did? 20 years ago, a lot of the police and military were buying it. Not all of them, but 20, 30%. But then when you turned up the heat with Obama and openly said the UN's going to run the police departments and we're going to take the guns, the police, the military, A, weren't anti-American at their base and knew that was wrong, but B, they also knew that's a suicide mission. What type of crazy crap is that? Why do you got us training to take on people saying we're constitutionalists? Don't take my farm. Don't take my land. Because that's what the training was for. And you idiot globalist took this broadcast and would tell the military and police, do not listen to this. This is the enemy. He says he wants to kill you. And they would tune in and hear the complete opposite. And so now they try to spin that whole thing around. They want control of the police and military to carry out tyranny like they do in Cuba or Venezuela or North Korea. Or like the EU's doing. That's not what we're talking about. They get the police to do a lot of bad stuff? Yeah. Are the police perfect? Absolutely not. The point is, there are police. It's our military. We're taking it back from the globalists. They don't know what to do. They are scared. And we're taking the FBI back, and we're taking it all back. But think about them saying he's as mean as a Wolverine on Don Lemon's show, the old prune Dan Rather. Think about him. They're the ones saying kill Trump's family. Trump's turning the economy on, being nice, bringing folks together. But what he is tough. He doesn't roll over when you attack him, you bullies. Then you act like, oh, he's so uncivil. They're so mean. No, we've been putting up with your bullying and your lies forever, and we are done. And we're proving that you had us under suppression. We just took America back up to the surface. our listeners, Trump, all of us, the Patriot movement, worldwide, we're the leaders. We prove we were right. We're already turning it around instantly. We're like giving oxygen to somebody that's been trapped underwater or water to somebody that's been in the Sahara Desert for 3 days. And people know, they're like, oh, this is great air. I can breathe. Oh, water, thank you. Wow. And it's like, whoa, yeah. And then the globalists go, we're going to wreck America and burn it and have a depression. On TV, people go, wow, Alex Jones always said you wanted to make us poor. Yeah, exactly. They're scum. We got a bunch of these clips. Let's get to Trey Gowdy. We got Jim Jordan, and then Roger Stone's joining us to walk us through who is the #1 pick for Supreme Court Justice. I mean, he's been told, you're it, second round, but we're just going to say he's in the running at the front, pole position. But he hadn't crossed that line yet because we don't want to box El Presidente in. But he almost always does what he says he'll do, right? So I think about a 95% chance as judge. Coming up next segment. Let's go ahead and go to Trey Gowdy. Here it is.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Gowdy, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Russia investigation has been going on for almost 2 years now. Special counsel's investigation has been going on for over a year now. For most Americans, it's important to know what Russia did to our country in 2016 and with whom, if anyone, they did it. When a foreign state interferes with our democratic electoral process, it should be a chance of a lifetime for a law enforcement agent to investigate that, except apparently the one that was actually picked to investigate it. That was Peter Strzok. FBI agent Peter Strzok was picked to lead the FBI's investigation into what Russia did in July of 2016. It was a counterintelligence investigation begun in late July 2016, and he was leading it. And at about the exact same time he was picked to lead it, this dispassionate and fair FBI agent was calling Trump a disaster, destabilizing for the country. I'll leave out all the adjectives he used to describe that. I'll just go with disaster and destabilizing. Same time, his FBI lawyer girlfriend, Lisa Page, was telling him he was meant to protect the country. This neutral, dispassionate FBI agent said, I can protect the country at many levels. Same time, Peter Strzok, who was picked to objectively, fairly, neutrally look into the Russia investigation, was talking about an insurance policy with Andy McCabe and Lisa Page in the event Donald Trump became the president. All of this was happening at the same time Peter Strzok said he could smell the Trump support in Southern Virginia. All this was at the same time that this FBI agent said a Trump presidency would be effing terrifying and that it will never happen. No, we'll stop it.
We'll be back. It's very powerful at the end, and we got Jim Jordan. But remember, though, he doesn't even get into that. It was Strzok covered up Hillary and Russia and Uranium One. Strzok needs to be going to prison for life if he's lucky. Seriously, this guy would overthrow the will of the people and stop our republic coming back and screw our children's futures over? Good God. It is phenomenal how much Trump has been delivering on his promises and how the world is turning around. But the globalists are hell-bent on stopping the American and global recovery. They admit, from Juncker at the EU to Bill Maher on HBO, that they want to crash the U.S. economy to teach Trump supporters a lesson. Talk about Hitlerian. This is unbelievable, the period of history we're in. Well, I remember back when the president got in, and then there was a Supreme Court vacancy. I remember that it was in the news some that Andrew Napolitano was in the running. But then later I learned from inside sources, not just Roger Stone, that Trump used a big computer program and worked with some big study groups to look at who had the most conservative federal voting record, because he'd promised to go with the most conservative judge. And some of his experts argued, well, that's not Napolitano because he was a state judge. Yes, he's very conservative on air. Yes, he's a very smart guy. But we're talking about federal judges up front right now. Wouldn't it be best to go with a federal judge first? And that he said, okay, I'll do that. So I can technically say I've appointed the most conservative person on the bench currently who has a bigger, longer record. But my good friend, Andrew Napolitano, he is going to be at the front of the running on the next round. In fact, it was more specific than that. I asked Roger at the time if that was accurate. He's very close friends with Napolitano. He said they're best friends. And he told me some stuff. Now, the day before I went on air, even though I thought Roger was on a plane, he was just getting on one, I called Roger to see if I could say what I was told from the other sources, even though they didn't tell me this in confidence. In fact, I talked to another individual that talked to Napolitano, and I'm going to leave it at that. And he said, yes, indeed, I was told that. But then there's the different angles of we don't want to box the president in, saying that Napolitano is who he said will be his next nominee, but that's what he was told. Now, does that mean he's in the pole position in first place? Because if you start off in first place, there's kind of this metaphysical thing where it's easy to fall back if you're seen as starting in first place. So let's just say he is at the very front of the pack here, and I think the very best person for a lot of reasons. His cell phone's about to die. He's going to get home and join us via Skype in about an hour. But Roger Stone, flesh this out for folks as best we can. We're giving people a world exclusive here. A lot of this is inside baseball. I was not told this in confidence, but I still called you and brought up my sources because you had told me similar things and said, do you think we should roll this out?
You know, Alex, everything you just said is absolutely accurate. We know that Judge Napolitano is a personal favorite of the president. The president describes him as the one judge who makes federal law understandable and the Constitution understandable. The argument against him in the previous round was that he was a state judge. By the way, Felix Frankfurter was a state judge. That is really of no consequence. The president did feel in the first round that he had to go with a list that had been recommended by the Federalist Society. Napolitano was not on that list, although he certainly could have been based on qualifications. Having now fulfilled that commitment, I don't believe the president, or I don't know, but I'm not sure the president will feel that he must select from that list again, particularly as long as his nominee is a solid conservative. I think Napolitano is very, very much in the hunt. I think he was the president's emotional choice for the previous nomination, and it would be a great statement because the judge is a great conservative, but he's also a great libertarian, very much pro-freedom. So I'm optimistic. I think that the left will deride him as a box talking head, but he is by any measure brilliant, and I know he has the high regard of the president.
I don't want to get into too much of the inside details, but just specifically, he's at the top of the list this round. Judge Andrew Napolitano is currently at the top of the list. How do we make sure he stays at the top and gets in there despite the leftist globalist bullying? You know, anybody that's really good, that's who they're going to fight, just like they fought Trump getting into office.
Well, if you're a believer, as I am, that Andrew Napolitano would be a great Supreme Court justice, you should reach out for the president. You can call the White House switchboard where they're set up to take messages from the American people, 202-456-1414, 202-456-1414. Flooding the White House switchboard with supportive calls would be very helpful. Keep it short, keep it respectful, keep it real. We're not talking about manufacturing calls. We're talking about individual info warriors calling in to let the president know how they feel.
That's right. I'm getting a jump on the leftist globalist media who is going to immediately go and dig back into the news and remember when we actually already said all this on air. So that's why I'm not giving out any secret information that he is the front runner. Basically, oh, yeah, everything vets out. You're it next round. And I can see how the first time go with the whole computer-generated, most conservative federal judge voting record. But he also has a very conservative record at the state level. And as you said, there have been many top Supreme Court justices, you name it, that were state judges.
Yeah, that's no disqualification to say the least. So it would make a strong statement, particularly in view of the president's recent position that he will support federal legislation to support state legalized medical marijuana. position that Judge Napolitano also supports. He is not a Bush conservative, although that's kind of an oxymoron.
Wouldn't you call him a nationalist, libertarian, pro-Americana populist?
More libertarian than that, but on law and order issues, certainly he's a hardliner. But he's also a supporter of civil liberties, a supporter of civil rights.
So he's really a constitutionalist.
Without any question. And he's a friend of this show. He is just a solid guy. He'd be the best possible nominee for the president.
Well, Trump also knows that it was Napolitano, and you and I and others, that first exposed the illegal spying on the president and who've been proven right over and over again. He knows how smart Napolitano is, not just on the law, but wide-ranging. I mean, I've had dinner with him many times. I know you're best friends with him. He's super smart about everything.
Well, he called that exactly right, the fact that the British were conducting surveillance on Trump so as to keep the hands clean of John Brennan and deep state. He was widely derided for that at the time he said it. Of course, it's now been proven to be absolutely correct.
Well, get back to your studio, and let's get you on Skype to cover the incredible hearings. You got brought up a bunch. I know right off the top of my head 4 or 5 lies that Rosenstein told to Congress just in the testimony I've seen. It's pretty incredible, but you've got Trump and all these candidates he backed winning, validating him. You've got all these great things happening now with the Supreme Court. You've got the Supreme Court ruling on Trump's side this week. I mean, this has got to be horrifying the authoritarian left right now. They're just apoplectic.
Well, and it's time for the president to fire Rosenstein. He has cause as never before.
Well, Gowdy even got off the fence and said, look, you're wrecking this country. This investigation's killing this country. Trump's not against the country. There's no evidence. If you don't have evidence to indict his ass with a grand jury right now, then I say shut it down. I mean, that's got to really get to him.
All right. Well, I look forward to joining you by Skype shortly.
There goes Roger Stone. Thank you very, very much, Roger. So there you got the exclusive that was never in the news, that it was in the news that he was in the running, but specifically Trump Tower, you are going to be my next nominee. Boom. So we'll see what happens with that, because things can change, but the president almost always does what he says he's going to do. I give him about a 95% accuracy rate. Hillary, about a 5%. So there you go. Very exciting. Again, just because people are awake now, they're involved, they're focused. Okay, we got a ton of news, so much. I can't even get to it right now. We're going to just, it's all coming up next hour. Totally insane amounts of just unbelievably critical information. Hotep Jesus, really great, smart guy, is going to be popping in on the broadcast. Lionel is going to be getting in. He's a former prosecutor. He'll have a lot too. Please, whatever you do, spread the live video links. Tell folks about the local radio station you're listening to. Spread the articles, the videos. That's how we're going to win, because they are really censoring the web ahead of 2018 like never before. They think that's going to have them win. But people power can overpower them. We also need financial funding. We'll make it easy with great products. Our super blue, super high quality colloidal silver, iodine-based, fluoride-free toothpaste is available 50% off right now at InfoWarsStore.com. 33% off Knockout Sleep Aid, it's $100 off on the air purification systems. It's all there, and it makes it all possible. So, Trump, exclusively, we just broke down last segment, told Judge Napolitano that he saw him as the leader of the pack, or the person that he was intending to nominate in the second round of Supreme Court appointments. And we've been sitting on that for a year and a half. Now you just heard it here exclusively. And you see the economy coming back, and so many good things unfolding, so many great things that are going on. And the globalists just don't know what to do. So the deep state's answer is remove Trump before things get even better, because the public will learn that they'd been artificially suppressing things. So I'm going to play a breakdown of this and then come back with the powerful clips I haven't gotten to yet of Rosenstein and the FBI director being grilled. We'll be right back. I was told that Trump would never win office, and I told you that was a lie. I told you it was fake polls. And then I was told over and over again he'd be removed. He'd never be seated as president. They would take the delegates. And then as soon as that failed, even though they've been all over the news promoting it, they said, oh, actually, we never said we were going to keep Trump. from having his delegates seated. And then Nancy Pelosi's daughter went on TV and called for my arrest on Fox News and made up lies about me that I threatened her. How do you threaten a dead dog, a rotting, soulless corpse? You don't. We have the usual suspects, 2 different former CIA directors, coming out over the weekend and saying, we're going to call for the 25th Amendment to be implemented to unseat the president for dereliction of duty and incompetence and mental illness. The mentally ill person that never ran for office and beat you and that turned the economy around and did all this incredible, got peace deals, right? There's the article from The Hill. Ex-CIA chief calls on White House cabinet to revolt against Trump and remove him from office. Insurrection by GOP leadership inner circle necessary to stop president, he says. And who is he? He's the Wahhabist Brennanite who in college admitted he was part of the Communist Party. The CIA said, well, my God, let's put you at the top. He's got Clapper behind him calling for the same garbage. And other former CIA directors as well. And they want the 25th Amendment implemented to remove him from office, and they want it done now, post-haste. They want it done as soon as possible. But here's the thing. They've been pushing this.
So the FBI people, I'm going to tell you, are ticked. And they're going to be saying, I guarantee it, you think you can push us off this because you can try to intimidate the director? You better think again, Mr. President. You've been around for 13 months. We've been around since 1908. I know how this game is going to be played. We're going to win.
And I'm reading it in the Financial Times of London, New Yorker Magazine, New York Times, Atlantic Monthly. These are establishment publications. They're like, we're ending the family. We're going to savage the U.S. China has 97% of the rare earth minerals. The U.S. will never come back. Lloyd Blankfein, before he got kicked out of Goldman Sachs, is like, I was just at China. They've got 10 times the infrastructure of Trump. You'll never bring America back. These are in tweets. They're like, God, these people are like breathlessly, we'll get you people. And it's like, what did we do to you? But America's the big enchilada. It had half the wealth in 1955. So they parlayed it into global corporate power. So if you're going to screw America over, why not get in a culture of hating it? They're not like, well, we're bleeding the country dry. It was a great, beautiful lady, but we're sacrificing her for our global power. No, they're too big of cowards to admit they're doing it, so they decide to hate it. And that's what I want you to understand. Trump doesn't hate America. And so he's like, you see these speeches, and these are real numbers. You've seen them. They don't even debate these. He's like, Canada has a 270% dairy tax, and we have 0. Trump goes, okay, I'll put 100% on them. And they go, oh, my God, you backward, hateful person. He's like, wait, you got a 270. 270. You'll still have I mean, if anything, Trump's being too soft, but he knows he could destabilize things, so he's just like, hey, China, you got a $900 billion trade deficit. We'll do $50 billion. Just pay it and promise to start taking some of our cars, and I'll leave you alone. And China goes, trade war. In 2004, Al Gore said that by 2016, the entire northern ice sheet would be gone in winter and summer. Well, we're in the summer right now. We're going to show you the satellite images and everything coming up. Arctic Ocean almost totally ice covered. In fact, it's the highest level of ice ever recorded in the summertime. And during the winter, the Northern Passage is completely open. Just everything these liars put out is total horse manure. That's coming up in the next segment. And I remember back when Al Gore and Hillary and all them were saying that, they were buying $20 million, $40 million houses, remember? Right on the beach in Malibu and stuff. And they were saying, there'll be, water flooding inland. We're all going to die. Total horse manure. That's coming up. But, oh, my gosh, Dan Rather, they've had him crawl out of the grave to... And don't say crawl out of the grave because he's old. Trump's like alive and vibrant, like a golden toad baby or something. But then you've got Rather, the old fake newsman climbing out of his hole saying that, well, in fact, let's cue it up, that Trump is like a mean Wolverine. No, you're the mean Wolverines trying to destroy the country, but he'll stand up to you and fight you. Mean as a Wolverine. Here it is.
Question, Don, and I think historically, looking at the whole sweep of American history, there were some very nasty periods of incivility in the 1880s, for example, in the 1920s. But no, I don't think we've ever seen anything completely like this. And part of the reason is that whether he is or is not inside himself, that President Trump gives every indication by what he says and what he does and what he doesn't do, that he's mean as a Wolverine. And we've never had a president who had that reputation. We have reputations of presidents who are not very good, presidents who broke the law, in the case of President Nixon.
We've never had something like, never had a crazed, evil, Chi-Com-owned media trying to destroy the country and the family. And then somebody stands up to you and you can't stand it. You go, quit being mean, when you're all calling us all Nazis and saying attack our families. And then you're on Soros the Nazis' payroll. You're a joke, rather. You and Don Lemon ought to crawl in the same grave together. All right, politically. Not physically, obviously. The worms would think you tasted terrible. Let's go ahead and go to Jim Jordan today, grilling Rosenstein. Here it is.
I recognize the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rosenstein, why are you keeping information from Congress?
Congressman, I am not keeping any information from Congress that it's appropriate.
In a few minutes, Mr. Rosenstein, I think the House of Representatives is going to say something different.
I don't agree with you, Congressman. I don't believe that's what they're going to say, and if they do, they'll be mistaken.
I disagree, but I think in a few minutes, the House of Representatives is going to go on record saying you haven't complied with requests,
and they did,
from a separate and equal branch of government.
He's the government.
That you haven't complied with subpoenas, and you got 7 days to get your act together. I think that's what's going to happen in a few. And that's not Jim Jordan. I think that's a majority of the House of Representatives. In just a few minutes, I think that's going to happen. And I want to know why you won't give us what we've asked for.
Sir, I certainly hope that your colleagues are not under that impression. That is not accurate, sir. And
it is accurate. We have caught you hiding
Mr. Chairman, can we allow the witness to answer? Mr. Chairman, point of order. We can go to Mr. Jordan's press conference and listen to him, but we came here to hear from the witnesses.
The time belongs to the gentleman.
Mr. Rosenstein,
can we allow him to answer?
We have caught you hiding information.
Allow him to answer.
He will be permitted to answer when Mr. Jordan.
Why do we have them here?
We'll allow him additional time to answer.
Why are they not allowed to answer?
The gentleman's out of order. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Mr. Rose, let me make this one point, then I'll let you answer.
Mr. Jordan, I'd like to
let me make this one point, sir, where we've caught you hiding information, then you can answer. Why did you hide the fact that Peter Strzok and Judge Contreras were friends? Why did you redact that in the documents you gave to us? Judge Contreras is kind of important. FISA court judge, more importantly, just as importantly, the judge that heard Mike Flynn's case. Why'd you try to hide that from us?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to respond. I've heard you make those sort of allegations publicly on TV.
Criminal.
I got
and if you let me respond, sir.
Mr. Chairman, he should be given the opportunity.
Now, Mr. Jordan,
it's redacted.
I am the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. Okay? I'm not the person doing the redacting.
Yeah, bull.
I'm responsible for responding.
You ran the whole stinking thing, crook.
With me, sir.
That's why they put you in there.
Just a fraction of the team that's doing this work. And whenever you brought issues to my attention, I have taken appropriate steps to remedy.
Bull.
So your statement that I'm personally keeping information from you, trying to conceal information.
You're the boss, Mr. Rosenstein.
That's correct. And my job is to make sure that we...
Mr. Rosenstein is on record for months, for 6 months, not releasing the documents. And when he does, it's only part of it. He goes, he doesn't know where the other stuff is. He just said, why aren't you giving us the information under the law? We're supposed to get it. And he's saying, I haven't. He's lying to us like he thinks he's God and we're an animal. Now, let's go back to this little piece of crap.
And my job is to make sure that we respond to your concerns. We have, sir. Now, I've appointed Mr. Lausch, who is managing that production. And my understanding is it's actually going very well, sir.
Ooh,
so I appreciate your concerns.
Again, I think the House of Representatives is going to say otherwise.
But your use of this to attack me personally.
Why did you? It's not
wrong.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. May the witness be permitted to answer the question?
It's not personal.
The gentleman will suspend. The witness is going to have an opportunity to say whatever he wants at the end of Mr. Jordan's 5 minutes until the.
It is not personal.
5 minutes.
By the way, ABC News is reporting.
It's not personal.
Hey, pause real quick. ABC News is now reporting that they're moving for impeachment of Rosenstein. Man, I tell you, everybody knows America's coming back. And the cabals that have sold this country out, you are in trouble. House Republicans just escalated their war with the Justice Department, voting to point out that Rosenstein has refused to release the documents, just as you heard Jordan saying they would. And now they're moving towards his impeachment. That means the Congress is removing him, not the president. If the president won't do it, Congress will. More than one way to skin a cat, isn't there, Mr. Rosenstein? All right, let's go back to him.
Information. Why did you tell Peter Strzok not to answer our questions yesterday? When I asked Peter Strzok if he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, he gave us the answer he gave us dozens of times. On advice of FBI counsel, I can't answer that question. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate your sincere concerns, but I didn't give Peter Strzok any instructions. If there was some problem with the instructions he had, I'll be happy to look into it.
Not what his FBI lawyer said.
Mr. Jordan, when you find some problem with a production or with questions, it doesn't mean that I'm personally trying to conceal something from you. It means we're running an organization that's trying to follow the rules, and we're going to respond.
It was interesting when I asked him if he'd ever talked to Bruce Orr, he said he had. Said he had 3 times in 2016 and 2017. Then I asked him, have you ever talked to Nellie Orr? And he said, no, I haven't. I said, well, why can you answer that question? Because Nellie Orr worked for Glenn Simpson, worked for Fusion. He could answer that question, but he couldn't answer because FBI counsel told him he couldn't. He couldn't answer the question whether he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, a journalist.
And, of course, then it gets the questions when we come back. I'm going to play more. Who is it on the fake FISA warrants names you won't release? Who is it that directed you to do the investigation? Who is it you're covering for? And we know the name. Loretta Lynch. Oh, yeah. And then who gave Loretta Lynch the order? Barack Hussein, long-legged Mac Daddy Obama. For Hillary in a political campaign to stop Trump being elected and then to try to get him removed. You talk about criminal racketeering, treason against the voters, the people, the providence of the U.S. You guys are in deep doo-doo, as they say. Going back to the subject when we return. Infowars.com, newswars.com. Tomorrow's news today, the destiny of freedom. If you take it in your hands and if you take the information and you move it forward. Don't forget, we have 50% off on our entire line of Super Blue, fluoride-free, colloidal silver, iodine, fortified toothpaste, and that supports the broadcast. Take advantage of the specials. They have to end soon. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting on over 260 radio stations, over 400 TV stations, over 70 cable stations, and simulcast on the internet in every format we can find. From message in a bottle to global satellite transmission, this is the Infowar. I am Alex Jones, commissioned by duty and justice, and then recommissioned by the president to take action against the globalists and to cover the topics others won't, to tell the savage truths, to break the ice, to blast through the enemy's defenses, to make it safe for others to come out with the hard truths. We're here, tip of the spear. The tip of the spear. Many claim to be it. This is the tip of the spear, recognized enemy of the globalist. And that is not a happy time, happy-making time like George Soros talked about on 60 Minutes, rounding up Jews. It was happy-making time, exhilarating, best time of my life. Those are quotes. This is not happy-making for us. This is duty. But I got to tell you, all we've been through to begin to see the worm turn, to begin to see victory, it's just there's a God above. And it doesn't mean we're offering some utopia. Just what Lord Acton said and what Thomas Jefferson said and what many other famous historians said in different ways. That all that evil men and tyrants need to flourish is that good men do nothing. And that's what this comes down to right now. It's another British historian that said it almost the same, but many of these truths have been quoted different ways. We're here. So Jim Jordan's really on fire, tearing in to Rosenstein, catching him in all these lies and catching him in cover-ups. And Rosenstein's saying, I'm not blocking any documents. Well, the House just voted, Right after Jim Jordan said they were, he knew the vote time, put it back on screen. So I guess Jordan couldn't leave for the grilling to even go vote. Let's put it on screen. They voted that they are suppressing it, and that they are going to compel him, and that they're going to move with impeachment. Go ahead and scroll down. We've got the quote there. I read it during the break. So now it's their final warning before they nail him to the wall. 226 votes to 183. Now on Thursday, the battle escalated with a vote by the full House representatives on a resolution to insist DOJ comply with the House subpoenas and other document requests. By July 6th, the resolution passed along party lines. Let's go ahead now, ladies and gentlemen, and go back to Jim Jordan grilling Rosenstein and catching him in a bunch of whoppers.
He couldn't answer the question whether he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, a journalist. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you saying it isn't personal. Sometimes it feels that way. How do I know, sir? I mean, you interviewed Mr. Strzok. I didn't, so I can't
Works for you. Doesn't work for us.
There are 115,000 people who work for me, sir.
Mr. Rosenstein, did you threaten staffers on the House Intelligence Committee? Media reports indicate you did.
Media reports are mistaken.
Sometimes. But this is what they said. Having the nation's #1 law enforcement officer threaten to subpoena your calls and emails is downright chilling. Did you threaten to subpoena their calls and emails?
No, sir, and there's no way to subpoena phone calls.
What?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm reading what the...
That's total crap. He just played a little game there, like, I'm the legal genius and you're not. They threatened to go and grab their records with the subpoena to make them appear in court with the information demanded. Believe me, I've had enough lawsuits and divorce and custody battles. You get subpoenaed to show up in court, and you get ordered by the court to produce your records. It's called discovery. But that little piece of crap, like Hillary, when they went, you transferred the weapons to Turkey to start the invasion. You transferred the weapons to Turkey to go into Syria. She goes, Turkey? What's a turkey, a bird? Thinking viewers don't know there's a country called Turkey. Continue.
To subpoena phone calls.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm reading what the press said.
By the way, they do subpoena phone records. I've had my phone records subpoenaed 4 times. God almighty. I mean, you talk about, oh, man, wow. And all the scum they've got, and they're laughing. Oh, keep laughing, jerks. You keep laughing. You go back to it.
I'm reading what the press said. I'm reading what the press said.
I would suggest that you not rely on what the press says, sir.
Well, I didn't ask if there's no way to do it. I asked if you said it.
If I said what?
What I just read you.
No, I did not.
Well, now, who are we supposed to believe? Staff members who we've worked with, who've never misled us, or you guys, who we've caught hiding information from us, who tell a witness not to answer our questions? Who are we supposed to believe?
Thank you for making clear it's not personal, Mr. Jordan.
Oh, wait, pause. See? He's threatening their staff. He's threatening other people. It's on record. These guys are a bunch of thug gangsters who have asked hundreds of people about me. Like, that intimidates me, you little thug. America's awake, Rosenstein. Get it. Let's go back to him.
I'm saying the Department of Justice.
Because I'm telling the truth and I'm under oath. And if you want to put somebody else under oath and they have something different,
I know these staff members.
Respond.
Here's my last question. What's so important that you know, that you don't want us to know, that you won't give us the documents we're asking for, that the House of Representatives is about ready to go on record saying you should give us? What's so darn important that you will threaten members, at least according to media reports and according to the staff members, threaten members?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
What is so important, Mr. Rosenstein?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
This is not an appropriate time for a parliamentary inquiry.
And point of order. The gentleman keeps representing that the House of Representatives, yes, it will be, the Republicans who continue
that is not an appropriate point of order.
Well, he needs to be correct in his statement.
The time of the gentleman will be restored.
The members of the Republican Party.
The gentleman will suspend. The time of the gentleman from Ohio will be restored for another additional 15 seconds, and then the Deputy Attorney General will be allowed to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rosenstein, Mr. Ray, I do appreciate your work, but I'd also appreciate if the House of Representatives could get the information. We have repeatedly, Mr. Gowdy talked about how long this investigation is going on, how long there's been a special counsel. We started asking for information in July of last year, And some of that is still has not been given to the Congress. Still not has been given to this committee, the committee charged with defending the Judiciary Committee. So I appreciate what you do. I just want the information, and we're so frustrated that there is now a resolution on the floor of the House in just a few minutes that will be voted on.
Time of the gentleman has expired. Mr. Rosenstein will be allowed to respond.
I don't have any control over what resolutions you vote on, sir, and you should feel free to do that.
But the gentleman will suspend it. The time now is the Attorney General's.
If you're interested in the truth, Mr. Jordan, the truth is we have a team of folks. They're Trump appointees and career folks, and they're doing their best to produce these documents. Director Wray explained to you the process he's got.
Yeah, just like we learned the guy that ran the IRS persecution via McCain for Obama, Trump didn't know and now appointed him to head up an agency. Trump's getting ready to get rid of it. So you're saying, oh, we got Trump appointees. They're the ones running all this. Just more garbage. It's more, oh, he runs the Justice Department. Yeah, right. Continue.
Team of folks. They're Trump appointees and career folks, and they're doing their best to produce these documents. Director Wray explained to you the process. He's got hundreds of people working around the clock trying to satisfy these requests. So whether you vote or not is not going to affect it. You're going to get everything that's relevant that we can find and produce to you. I support this report, sir. I'm not trying to hide anything from you.
Yeah, right. Well, guess what, liar? You've already been caught lying a bunch. You've been running the whole operation to put McCabe under you and to launch the whole special counsel. You did all this. You're the ringleader. You're the chief dirty little Clinton dingleberry that is getting ready to get flushed down the toilet of history forever. We'll be back with a special guest and more. Stay with us. Hotep Jesus is coming up. Remember this when he went into Starbucks?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right, I heard y'all was racist, so I came to get my free coffee.
I saw that.
Yeah, I heard you guys don't like black people, so I wanted to get my Starbucks reparations voucher. What's that?
Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing.
I mean, I'll give it to you. I saw that on my Twitter last night. I was like, what the
Yeah, I need a free coffee.
I'll give you a free coffee.
That's what I'm talking about. This is justice.
Where was it? Philly. Philly? What? Are you serious? Oh,
sorry.
I'm going to finish this up and
This is justice. This is what I'm talking about. It's great customer service.
Yeah, I was reading that and I was like, there is no way.
Absolutely.
Made me mad.
Could you imagine?
Never here.
You just throw some milk in it?
Sure. What kind?
Whole. Yeah. Reparations, man. Gotta get my reparations for being black in America. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives do matter. What? Do you have any flavors in it? We got caramel, hazelnut.
I'll take caramel.
Caramel? Sure.
Is that gonna make it sweet?
Do you want it to?
Yes. What's your name? I appreciate you. Amanda? Amanda, you are great.
My last day here until the fall.
Is it? You're amazing.
Thank you. I'm a student at Ryder, and our finals are starting next week. So I had to like.
All right, that happened about a month and a half ago. One of the top stories in the country. He's been all over the news. Hotep Jesus joins us, and I didn't know till I heard he went on with Owen Schroyer that he was even a listener for a while. But he's got a long, interesting bio. Booksbybrian.com, hotepnation.com, Twitter, Vibe, Hi. But it's great to have him on with us. I just want to get him on as a commentator routinely to give his take on the world and the things he's doing, because I've seen that clip and wanted him on my show. And then I saw him with Owen. I was like, well, I'm jealous. Owen got him a couple times. I haven't. I watched the interview and really liked what he had to say. So we'll cover the waterfront, but I think his awakening is important. That's one of the things he wanted to talk about because it's part of other people's awakening. And then where is this point in the world we are right now where things have gotten so crazy, and where does he think things are going next? So, Hotep, thanks for joining us.
Alex Jones, the man. What's up, baby?
Hey, you're the man, my friend. That's a great thing you did in Starbucks, and all of your other videos are awesome. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your awakening. You want me to get into being a fan of the Infowar, Turning Point, influencer, Hotep, and Black conservatives?
Yeah. So first I want to just talk about my red pill. So, of course, I grew up Hotep, but as far as the globalists are concerned and the New World Order and Bilderberg, you were my red pill for that. You know, understanding the Federal Reserve and how all of that stuff happens and works, that was you. That was all you. So I just want to say thank you for putting that information out there and being my red pill out of Zion. as far as that respect is concerned.
Well, that's awesome. You know, they really demonize me, and I'm willing to be demonized. They lie about what I say and do it to twist it, to try to not point out that we've been very successful getting a lot of other great thinking minds just to get outside the box. Not that you probably listened to what I had to say, but it just triggered something that was already in you. But the thing I'm most proud of is how many great activists from every walk of life I run into that were triggered by this broadcast. Not even so much by me, but just by all the great things we do at Infowar. So God bless you, and I'm very, very proud of that, my friend.
Yeah. I think activism was hijacked. I think what you started was a particular type of activism that spoke about very real issues, and then activism was hijacked where we talk about fluffy issues and bathrooms and all of that nonsense. But I feel like you were a pioneer as far as the mental activism is concerned. But we got to do one thing for the internets today. We got to do one thing for the internets today. The internets need to see me and you side by side screaming and raging at the globalists, man. Can you do that for me, man?
Sure. I lose my voice. That's why. So people, my voice used to be scratchy, but I scream so much, my larynx is gone. It's like, we're free. We're breaking the conditioning. Yeah. Felt good, didn't it? I didn't know you were gonna do that. It feels good now. I'm ready. But it feels good to go, I'm done with whatever I'm not buying anything you say. I'm free, and I'm not buying your crap anymore.
Yeah. That's how I feel when I come off my periscopes. I got that Alex Jones rage. Yeah.
I got old, though. I try not to do that anymore, but I tell
you. We need that. The movement lacks passion, and you bring passion, and I love it, man.
Well, usually when I do it, I'm already passionate having you on, but something's already pissed me off, and it's all coming to go, but I realize, they're not going to suppress us, and then I decide to fight, and then it just happens. But yeah, they made some good memes with, what's that called? Super Saiyan? It's some kind of Japanese TV thing where the guy goes,
Oh, yeah, Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan, yeah. Enough about me, Hotep. My voice now halfway gone. So you're awakening. Where do you see us in the world today?
Where do I see us in the world today?
Yes.
Man, I see us like right at the edge of where Rome falls, when Greece falls, when Egypt falls. When you look at the similarities between a lot of the previous empires, it seems like the United States is at that fork in the road where if we don't make the right turn, we fall. If we make the right turn, we succeed as a nation. And I think that the conservatives have the right idea. And I think that if we can get more black people off of the Democratic plantation and over to the conservative side, we can avoid the bad side of the fork in the road.
I just got a chill. Every time I hear the truth, I get a chill, a good chill. There's a bad chill, you get a fear, but that good chill. And what you said is we are at the crossroads, aren't we?
Yeah, we are definitely at the crossroads. This is the time where people really have to buckle down, look at the facts, remove emotions, and really get on the side of good. Right now we're facing, it's really evil versus good. When you look at the actions of Maxine Waters and how that trickled into reality, attacking a member of Congress, as we saw the other day, this stuff is actually starting to manifest as evil. It's been evil since the Black Lives Matter movement has started. And this is really a matter of good versus evil. So I tell people, hey, if you want to be on the side of good, trust me, it ain't the Democrats. There's the clip right there. As you can see, like, this is it manifesting. This is just completely uncalled for. Here we have two people that are of adult age who they're not supposed to be approached like this in public, right? Like, there's a professional way to handle your gripes with public officials, with government officials. And this just isn't it. This is evil. This is attacking. This is communism. This is
they're also projecting stuff. Mitch McConnell's been an open borders guy. So they just project Nazis. And the lady's, Asian, she comes over and gets in their face. It's like, it's also that it'd be one thing if, like, these people, had their house taken by them or something, and they were the bank, or they were the person that did it. But it's like just made up. They just projected on them.
Yes, that's exactly what this is. This is projection. When you look at the Democratic Party and the history of the Democratic Party, we know they're the ones that enslaved my people. We know that they're the ones that implemented Jim Crow. They're the ones that are the reason why we call ourselves black instead of African. They've done so many demonic things to us, and now here they are trying to project that onto Republicans and the conservative side of things. And that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head with that. This is merely projection. This is evil projecting so that people don't look at them as evil and look at us as the evil.
They've got to flip the script. And that's absolutely true. We're all Americans, but we can all say we're people and be proud of where we came from at the same time. And the Democrats have put out so many names for everybody. They just want to be the person that names it whatever they want, and they're going to change it all the time.
Absolutely. Malcolm X has a quote, I forget what it is, but he talks about, be careful, the media will have you hating the good guys. And that's where we're coming to right now.
And there's the big one where he talks about the Democrats being really bad and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't mean the Republicans are perfect either, but Trump is taking down those bad blue bloods, and it's incredible. We'll be right with Hopetep Jesus. She's on fire. You better take over now. I never took voice lessons. When I start screaming, I blow my voice out, so I'm going to be even more raspy. Stay with us. Right now, the globalists, the big mega banks, the Satanists, that's who they are panicking because humanity's waking up all over the planet. Exclusive report up on Infowars.com. We can put that back up, thanks. Judge Andrew Napolitano is in the front running. He's the top front runner for Trump's Supreme Court pick. Napolitano was told he was top pick in 2017 by the president face-to-face. Let's just add by the president there. Great job, Kit Daniels. Get that article up. There's a video with Roger Stone on last hour. I had it from other sources, that some that were at the Trump Tower when this happened. It was when the president was moving back and forth. And Gorsuch was in because you had the obvious assassination of Scalia. And I said, when our reporters were down there, it's like Bohemian Grove. Turned out it is a Bohemian Grove facility. And it turns out it was a secret society. I mean, this stuff just gets crazier and crazier by the minute. We're going back to Hotep Jesus about 15 minutes to the next hour. And then we've got Roger Stone joining us from his studio. He was on phone earlier, getting off a plane at the airport. But big things are happening. And again, it isn't that Trump's perfect or I'm perfect or Hotep Jesus is perfect or anybody. It's that we're not out to get you. We want a pro-human future, and we don't want to abort babies, whether they got brown skin or pink skin or, pockmarked skin like mine. We don't like crazy white people, crazy black people, crazy anybody out there. There's bad people everywhere. There's people that organize themselves in bad groups, whatever. And all of us, get sucked into it at times. But the point is that there's an evil plan that puts fluoride in everybody's water, that feeds everybody GMO, that is trying to destroy our future, trying to keep us from getting advanced technologies, that's trying to destroy civilization, what Hotep got into for the general public, even though it comes from us. The technology comes from us, the average people, whether it was in Africa, where a lot of technology came from, or Asia, or wherever. It builds up, and then and everything's gone. He hit that. And the globalists want to be able to do that to everybody else but themselves. We're going to talk about that with Hotep because I noticed he brought that up. But before we go any further, I sell some products at such low prices that we don't make a ton of money on them, so we got to sell a lot of them. And I want to expand in the face of George Soros and his lawsuits and all this. And we're having a lot of victories in court against him. And we're going to continue to be here. But we need the regular listener that's on the fence. You don't want to use fluoride toothpaste. Then we have the very best organic with iodine, colloidal silver fortified super blue, and it's 50% off. It's already our best seller for total volume sold. But it's got $3 of product in it. The average toothpaste is like $5, $6. It's got 50 cents in it. Counting the container. Ours is made with the biggest organic manufacturer in the country with our iodine and colloidal silver added. There's no fillers. My dad's a dentist and oral surgeon. He quarterbacked it. And so it's got thousands of 5-star reviews. It's got $3 of product in it. Now, we normally sell it for like $12 or something because we need to make some money to fund all this. At 50% off right now, it's $7. It is the best toothpaste out there. Now, it's very strong. You might want to water it down with another organic toothpaste or something. That's what my kids do, or they use the children's. 50% off right now. We've got the air purifiers, the Alexa Pure Breeze. It's a 4-stage ion HEPA filter, way lower price than leading competitors because they just add 3-4 times markup. It's $100 off right now. And I can tell you at $100 off between the manufacturer and myself, we split $70. So you got to sell a lot of these. But that's my game plan is people go out and research. We sell thousands of these. And they go, wow, this really is a good deal. So InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLive.com, or 888-253-3139. Discounted like this, that's not even 100% markup. If it was $160, it'd be 100%. It's like an 80% markup, and that's on sale. It's normally $250. So InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And it's critical. That's why they don't want us to have an economy to support, even if you're totally awake about what's going on. Get Hotep Jesus' books. And after you read them, give them to the library or give them to your neighbors. It's all about supporting independent thinking. Now, Hotep, there's a lot to cover in the next couple segments, and I just did a long plug, but front and center, where would you already talk about where we are in history, this crossroads, and what the globalists are wanting to do. What other knowledge you want to lay on us?
Well, this weekend, I spent some time with Turning Point USA, and they created a retreat for the Black conservatives. And so I just want to take some time to kind of educate people on that and educate people on Hoteps and how that relates to the Black community. So I think I should start there first. In the Black community, you're one of two things. You're either a Black conservative or you're Hotep, and often those two things become synonymous. A Black conservative would be like Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's what they would consider the token or icon.
Kind of like an Urkel.
Yeah, that's the look you would get. Now you have another section of the Black community which is more urban, possibly spent some time in jail, definitely a little bit more street down to earth, but has awakened mentally, is more conscious, is off the Democratic plantation, and they call those Hotep. Whether they are subscribed to the Hotep ideology or not, if you go just do a quick search engine search on DuckDuckGo or whatever, and just type in Hotep, and you'll see a list of slandering articles when they slander.
Sure, the system's afraid of Hotep. So explain what Hotep is then.
Hotep is really, I would say, Afrocentric consciousness. Of course,
which, by the way, is a good thing if it's good roots and empowering. The globalists don't want anybody to have their real roots. They want this fake plastic thing for everybody, so everybody realizes who their roots are and how it all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, look at Black Lives Matter. That was supposed to be for African people, and it turned out to be for everybody but African people. They had it co-opted by George Soros with his Open Society and all of his funding. And then what they did was they used all that funding to attack Hoteps because they don't want a conscious message to get out, because they know that Hoteps can bring empowerment to conservatism because we have so much stain, because we have so much respect in the streets with real Black people, not the bourgeoisie that lives in the NAACP and the Black caucus that tries to speak for us, but is completely detached from reality, which is where the Turning Point retreat comes in. This weekend, I spent a lot of time with people like James T. Harris, who's an OG Black conservative. Amazing Lucas. I know you're probably familiar with his work.
Oh, he was here, yeah.
Yeah, awesome guy. I spoke to him till like 3:30 in the morning. Shout out to Brandon Tatum. Brandon Tatum put it together. Spent some time with Candace Owens. We had dinner, we had lunch, we had good chats, good talks. And I know you know Candace Owens. So she has some things up her sleeve that's going to propel the Black conservatism in this country.
And that's really scaring. That's really scaring the Democratic Party and the globalists and the literal Nazi Soros.
Oh, yeah. This is the antidote to the cancer that the left is. We call it the evil left. And this is the antidote to all of that. This is the red pill for the mind of people who are still sleeping or still plugged into the matrix.
And let me just quantify this, but from your own perspective, you know more about this from your perspective than I do. The true libertarian, right-wing, Christian, pro-Renaissance group, whatever you want to call it, is simply saying we want to empower everybody, and that would actually create a system that would empower people and make them not dependent. The left goes, oh, we're going to protect you, but then they destroy you and make you dependent. And so that's what's so attractive about real red pill conservatism, is that it's saying, no, we recognize your power. We want you to be powerful.
Correct. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, Democrats want to disenfranchise. They want to suck or siphon power out of the community. And see, it doesn't happen overnight. You see, when you come in and you practice, warfare, you come in, you bomb, and it's just over with. No, that's not what Democrats do. They siphon, and they, like a parasite, they slowly suck the life out of your communities. They suck the life out of our people. They are vampires, exactly. And that's what they've done to the black community between the 1950s until now, especially the 60s, the 70s, and 80s. You saw their politics accelerate the decline of the black community. And this is what we're seeing now. And that's what we're fighting.
Beautiful. We're going to go to break in a few minutes. I want to come back and talk about from your unique perspective what's happening. But it's real. And it's just crazy that it's like Donald Trump was a flashpoint for it, because the black community going back 30, 40 years knew that Trump was actually just pro everybody. He likes everybody. And then they now try to demonize him from the corporate level. But deep down, everybody that's known Trump knows that's not true.
Absolutely. The black community knows it's not true for the most part. The issue is that the media has done such a great job of brainwashing people. They've done such a great job of making the MAGA hat a symbol of hate that people are now deterred from goodness, from righteousness, from America. Like, this is the first time since I've been alive in 38 years, I've seen people become anti-American, and it's sickening.
And that's because the globalists had captured America. They were siphoning it for evil. Now that America's having a crisis of soul and might become good again, that's why they're scared. And now that's why they're saying it's bad. See, my family were like Protestant Republicans. And so anybody that was racist was like seen as a loser that wanted to put somebody else down to make themselves feel big. But I was never really around Democrats. And then when I got into media and I would go out and protest at abortion clinics and stuff, I'd have black people come over. And I've had like Reverend Childress on. He says, oh, absolutely, that happens to me all the time. He's against black genocide. And they start foaming at the mouth. This is some virtue signal when I say this, because Hotep Jesus is on here with us. He's, African or whatever. They would go, you don't want to, now you see it on the news, Project Veritas has caught it and others. You don't want those black babies. You need to take some if you aren't, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like foaming at the mouth, like Renfield black people who've been hired by the liberal Draculas. And it's really true, like Bob Marley said, the Babylon system is the vampire. And it is true, if you want to talk about blacks or Africans being targeted, that was the beta test of the vampirism. And if you go into leftist communities, I don't care if they're white Appalachians or black poor areas, the people are like hopeless and they walk around like zombies. And you talk about vampirism, this is a short segment, longer segment coming up, Hotep, but I'm telling you, the left knows. I go to these events, we've had undercovers go in, and they're devil worshipers. And they say, we want to kill people, we want to enslave them, we love Satan. And then I came to the realization in the last 5 years that I knew they were into devil worship high up, but I didn't realize it was like all the way down into it. And I don't know why on the list of people to hurt, black folks, Africans, are one of the favorite hors d'oeuvres. Am I wrong there in the 3 minutes we've got, or can you explain that to me?
No, you are not wrong. Hors d'oeuvres is funny. But yeah, sometimes I feel like we're the main course.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying that's the thing that they like. The thing that they started with that. It's like, I think that's the start of the meal.
Yeah, no, you hit that straight on the head. I have no pushback on that at all. We are fodder almost. There's many different theories as to
I agree. It's one of the big targets of depopulation with Oprah, the head of it. When I say hors d'oeuvre, it started with you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I totally get it. Well, let's look at Planned Parenthood, right? You have this thing called Planned Parenthood, started out with Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger is known to have ties with the KKK. Then you have people like Jamila Lemieux, who gets money and awards from Planned Parenthood to push her feminism. And then when confronted about Margaret Sanger, she goes, oh, well, she's dead. And just because she started this doesn't mean that's what this is anymore, right? But then if I align with Republicans, they try to take everything Republicans or conservatives are allegedly associated with and throw that in our face, but we can't use this. Meanwhile, when you look at Planned Parenthood, the name is inaccurate. They don't plan parenthood, they plan death. And if you look at what they provide for women, period, the only thing they provide for women are prenatal vitamins. The rest is abortion. They should just call it the abortion clinic. They're not planning any parenthood, they're planning death.
And where do they stick them?
They take them and they put them in Pepsi. That's what they do with the baby. They put them in Pepsi, they sell them, they sell the body parts, they sell the stem cells, and then they make money off of the black babies. Matter of fact, Planned Parenthood makes more money off black babies than black people do. I'm sure to bet. They make more money off black people, period, when you have people like the feminists, the black feminist movement, who actually work for these globalist-backed regimes. That's exactly what they are.
Well, as you know, like, that was Margaret Sanger's job. We've got her famous diaries and in the Kellogg's and Colgate Foundation. She said, we've got to hire blacks, get them trained to go out and then control the other people to exterminate these Africans. We'll be back with Hotep Jesus on the other side. We're going to get him back a lot more because he's doing great work. And then we've got Roger Stone with exclusives on the hearings today and on the new Supreme Court nominee, Andrew Napolitano. Stay with us, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Donald Trump is breaking the will of the globalists. We're all breaking the will of it ourselves. And I can tell you, Trump is pro-Christian, he's pro-God, he's pro-freedom, but he's not a hypocrite. He doesn't something like a Pharisee telling you how great he is. But Trump particularly, in private conversations, and now, I told people about this a couple of years ago, but now he says it's about energy. It's not some new agey thing. He doesn't like the energy of death. He doesn't like the energy of being a vampire. Now, he's also the type of guy, if you want to make mistakes and stuff, that's up to you. He's all about free will. But it's not just Trump. He's here at a critical time where all these other nationalists from the continent of South America, Africa, Australia, Russia, Europe, Eurasia, everywhere, this is happening. And there's a force trying to control human destiny. And Hotep Jesus is a African activist who's exploded onto the scene, tens of millions of views on his videos. And he's just gone to the Turning Point USA. I was flying out of D.C. to wherever our flights were changing back to Texas, and I flew with the number 2 guy in Turning Point USA, and he was talking about some of the plans, the things that were going on. And they recommended, that Watson go do some major stuff in D.C., but of course Watson doesn't want to do that. I'm not bitching at Watson. It's just that there's just so many opportunities, but there's only so many people, Watson does a great job, who particularly want to get in the streets. And I think that it's engaging people that does that. And Hotep, talk about, well, you've got the floor for the rest of the segment, whatever you want to get into, but I know you're out there in the streets. What is the real pulse of the African community in this country from the poll numbers we see versus the reality?
All right. Real quick, before we get into that, I just want to touch on this one stat.
Whatever you want to cover, go ahead.
So check this out, right? This is according to Planned Parenthood. They have 17,419 instances of prenatal care services versus 3.5 million STD tests and 323,000 abortions, right? So prenatal care services only account for about 5% of their services. Only 5% of their services are for Planned Parenthood, and black people are backing this. This is an atrocity. I did a story about this. It's called Planned Parenthood Wants to Kill Black People on HotepNation.com. This is one of the devils in our community where we're trying to fight. But I just wanted to cover that really fast.
No, Hotep, you're absolutely right, because I saw books by Brian.com. Tell us about the website. Where should people go?
Well, booksbybrian.com is a landing page I created for my marketing book, and it just basically tells you like how I got on Starbucks, how I use psychology to build a following, just by being myself. A lot of people think you have to be something else to be something in the world.
Yeah, great looking website. Tell me about your main site, though.
The main site is HotepNation.com.
All right, HotepNation.com. I want to plug that. I've seen it before, and I'm glad you reminded me of it.
Yeah.
So what you're getting at here is that there's a litmus test. As I've said, I don't want to hear you claim your virtue signaling. I don't want to hear how much you hate cops. I don't want to hear how much you care about how you want to help African people or anybody else in this country. The fact that the left is targeting black people for abortion, targeting them to be killed, that's the litmus test. And the left, though, when you bring that up to one of these, so-called, African leaders or whatever in the U.S., they just cut and run because they're bought and paid for. They'll pull up in their brand new Mercedes in a neighborhood they don't live in to give some racist speech to cause a bunch of infighting. And meanwhile, you drive across town, 99% of the white people you talk to are not, I hate Africans, I want to abort their ass. So the natural ally of everybody is Christians and others that aren't into death.
Yes. The black community, or I'm sorry, I should say the black bourgeoisie, the black so-called media which we know is not black owned, is being paid to attack men like me, straight white men, straight black men, are under attack. We have become public enemy number one in the eyes of the
because
black
we're the potential
media.
leaders.
Because we are the potential leaders, because we are the ones that can actually protect people from the globalists. So they have to get us out the box, out the paint ASAP. And they're using feminists to do this. Some guy named Michael Harriot, some writer for The Root. The Root is the #1 perpetrator that is doing this to us. And they've put black men in the line of sight for their firing squad. It's disgusting. And that's what we're like. You have this one thing now where they say that black men are the white people of black people. Like, how ridiculous is that? So now here I am aligned with conservatives and they're mad. I'm like, but you just said I was the white people of black people. How can you be mad now when you already put me in that boat? So that's just one example. They have weaponized the black woman against the black man. They've been doing that since the 50s with the welfare, where in welfare you had to have the man outside of the home in order to reap the benefits. They are now weaponizing the LGBT movement under the guise of Black Lives Matter. They have weaponized trans people. They have weaponized women. They are going to use the indoctrination centers that we call public schools to weaponize the children and the college students against us as well, to create an implosion of the black community and use democratic policies to siphon power from the black community. And this is what we're fighting.
I have talked to major rock stars, some of the biggest names out there, who were told in the 90s, you better start doing gangster rap. And a lot of them tried it, or you're going to be off the air. And Sumner Redstone and the globalists and the corrupt elements of the CIA are on record funding gangster rap to brand black men as murdering gangsterous thugs so they could then make white people hate black men, put black men in prison, and then break down society, just like the cocaine got shipped into with the real Freeway Rick Ross. And that's a fact. Now, it doesn't mean once they wound up a bunch of black guys to be racist, drug dealers, and thugs, just like MS-13 or the KKK, doesn't mean they're not, some of those groups, bad. But the point is they were manufactured. They were mind controlled. They were turned into that. So just like I don't like a group of those guys coming after me and my family, I grew up in Dallas, I've dealt with it, that doesn't mean that I don't see the larger picture of the factory that created that.
Yeah, they've weaponized VH1 against us. That's the new one with their...
oh, you can see it. They have all these black people, the MTV Awards and VH1 Awards, talking whites are bad, whites are scum, we're going to get you. That's meant to make white people become racist and hate black people. It's so damn evil and obvious. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, VH1 has created programming that's going to force black people to hate black people. All you see is black on black crime. So Hollywood has...
So it's very sophisticated. How do we stop it?
How do we stop it? It starts with this right here, the conversation between Hotep Jesus and Alex Jones. That right there is mind-breaking. It also starts with people who have a large following just tweeting the word Hotep. That is going to make the black liberal lose their mind. You see, when Hoteps in the black community are empowered, the black community comes back to its power, to its center. And then the black liberals lose power because Hoteps have more connection with the black community than the black liberals do. Black liberals have a fake attachment to the black community. In fact, when I talk to people in the black community, there is not much hate for Trump, as you would see online. I can red pill somebody that lives in the hood a lot faster than I could one of these bourgeoisie blacks. These bourgeoisie blacks are completely brainwashed because they've been through all levels of the public school system.
It's like white liberals or anybody. They think they're part of the establishment. They even buy into the lies. They even know it's the lies, but they feel like they're in power. Let's do one more segment, and Roger Stone's coming up, because this is critical to understand that the average person turns on the Oscars or anything, and you see all this racist stuff being slung at white people. That's Hollywood trying to cause a race war. And so we have to be sophisticated enough to get that and understand it. Hotep Jesus is our guest. We're going to get more of the definition of Hotep that scares the globalists and the leftists and these globalist vampires so much on the other side. Newswar.com. Infowars.com. And then Roger Stone with Big Bombshells is coming up. I was jalapeno. eating a jalapeno while Hotep was talking and sucked it down in my lungs. It feels real good right now. All right, we got big breaking news and a video clip I'm going to play. I remember 2 years ago when President Trump was president-elect, or just about 2 years ago, and he had one of the heads of the whole Japanese system there, and he was going to get them to invest $50 billion. And that was the first of the dominoes that have now been several trillion invested here. And Trump pledged that if you just invest here, we'll have a market with you. And he knew that Japan had already been investing compared to China. And China invests $23 billion with us on average. We invest $900 billion in them. Well, Japan invests hundreds of billions with us. So SoftBank said $50 billion. It's now over $100 billion. And it's good business for Japan as well. But that is hiring tens of thousands of people. So I was just watching Trump live. We're going to play a clip of it here, backed up. Trump, at that time, his first job was getting the economy going, would make 500 phone calls a day. And, like, you know, he called my wife up to tell her what a great job I was doing. I get on the phone. I said, sir, he still called some since then. I said, sir, I like you calling, but you don't have to call. I'm on board. You know, I know you're busy. I go, well, what call is this, sir? And he goes, well, it's like 397. I said, sir, you could go. I mean, but he gets the energy and what he's doing and encouraging people. That's how he did it. And it's not like he's virtue signaling. The African community, human community, is a time bomb the globalists have that they want to control. We got to fix that. And you know, it's not some virtue signal. We just can't target black babies and try to kill them. Now, that doesn't mean if some brainwashed, you know, black thugs or white thugs are trying to attack you because what color you are, you don't have to beat the hell out of them. But it doesn't mean we sink to the level of this. And that's the big picture I'm trying to get at here. And there's a real awakening to this. And I'm just thinking about all the things Trump's done the last 2 years. And just everything he's done to not be out to get America. So I want to ask Hoped Up in a minute. America's had its problems, but why, undoubtedly, is it targeted by all these evil forces? Because it has a potential destiny, and they know it. It's a crossroads. So we're going to talk to Hotep in a minute, getting back very soon. Only one every week will come on. But here's the president right now.
And Masa's son, you want to talk about another successful guy. He was in my office. He said, a friend of mine set it up. It said, I want to invest $50 billion in the United States. I said, you don't mean 50 billion, you mean 50 million. And that would have been okay. That would have been worth about a 5-minute meeting, 50 million.
He does those too, yeah.
And so I thought he was saying 50 million. And when it was set up, it was 50 million, and I wanted to make it quick. But I heard about him. He, along with Terry, they're best friends, he came out, and I said, so good, what are you going to invest in? He said, yes, we're going to do. I said, you can't do that for 50 million. He said, no, I'm going to invest 50 billion. And he misrepresented to me. Because I can tell you, he did. Because he spent much more than $50 billion in the United States. And that was 2 years ago.
It's now $100 billion.
And now they're going to do a lot more. So I want to thank Masa's son. Masa, are you back there? Come.
Now what's incredible is the Japanese are dialed in. Keep rolling the audio.
Come on up
they're
here,
you know, they got the
Masa,
touch like everybody does.
Understand what I'm saying.
They've been told don't invest in America by the globalists. And then now they're like, oh, we could invest there? Oh, we like America. Boom, it's all over. Now the Japanese are 100% lined up with America. And they get it. That's one of the richest guys in Japan. So that's what's going on here. It's just a pro-human celebration. Trump goes to all these countries, says, we love you, you're beautiful, you're great. Let's all come together. And it's real. And it's not this evil globalist thing. We're going to control everybody and play people off against each other. That's why the elites call Trump mentally ill, because he's not playing Machiavelli games. Well, he knows the real power is in not playing games and straight shooting. That's my view, Hotep.
I think Donald Trump is the shining light of America. He's what America has been waiting for since I've been alive. I don't know what America was like before me. I can only speak from a firsthand account. And firsthand account, he's the realest president. I would say the first black president that we've seen. If we superimpose Donald Trump's personality onto Barack Obama's body, black people would be applauding this man. They'd say, he's the realest man ever. we love him, blah, 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 blah. But because it's Donald Trump and the media is controlling minds, he's this demon. But to kind of go back to what you asked me before, like, what can we do? I think what we're doing is, it's exactly what your show says. This is Infowars. This is media versus media. So what we have to do is find media faces like myself, Uncle Hotep, and support these guys. Support.
No, I agree. Exactly. I'm trying to boost other great people.
Yeah. Support Alex Jones. You know, support whoever your favorite media person is. Support them financially so we can grow our media outlets and we can battle where the real war is. And the war is for the mind right now. And that's a war that we're losing, and we have to continue to fight, and we have to continue to win.
Without being too confident, though, because the wind can change, at your gut level as a dialed-in guy, Hotep, what worries you at night about this turnaround we're starting to see that's far from, 10% done, but beginning? Well, how could the enemy turn this around against us?
They could try, like Maxine Waters, the violence thing, scaring people. That's a great tactic. The Jim Crow tactic of kicking people out of the red hen. This is what we call it's just really violent. I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for here.
This whole left thing of bullying people and keeping them off the street?
Yeah.
That's straight up KKK.
It's radicalization. And I think that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and radicalize this movement, and they're going to try to make it seem like, kind of like Antifa, where violence is okay, where being a violent revolution is okay. And it's like, what are you guys revolting about? You control everything. So how could you revolt against people who built this nation, who the Constitution was created for? You're resisting the Constitution. You're resisting the Founding Fathers. You're resisting the African people that helped build this nation. You're resisting the people. You're resisting
that's what I want to make the point. Hispanics are already half the population. Everybody, it's your country. Why would you, if people are part of it, take on the birthright? And Trump is saying, take your birthright. Take it. He was the guy 45 years ago that bought golf courses that blacks and Jews couldn't go to. That's why black folks are well known for loving him so much. Exactly. He's just saying, it's your birthright, take it. And they're saying, no, we don't want the birthright. We don't want it. We're not taking it.
You see what I'm saying? That's exactly what's happening here. But it's just a radicalization is what they're going to do. They're going to scare people. So then if it's not that, they're going to try and run a smear campaign with the media. They're going to try and blackball you. They've written scathing articles about me. Solange has tried me. They're going to do
which is a good thing. That shows you're on the right track.
Yeah, they're just trying to defame your character when it comes to the individual. But for the entire population, it's going to be a radicalization and create like this full revolution.
Join us every week. We love the work you're doing, Hotep.
I'll be back.
Hotep is an Egyptian word, translates as to be at peace. We've regularly found the names of ancient Egyptian figures such as, and it goes on through that. And so God bless you, my friend. We love the work you're doing. We want all empowerment for everybody, and we love it. So thank you so much, my friend.
God bless. God bless you, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'll be back again.
Going to the stars. It's going to happen. Our grandkids are going to look back on this. If we win this, it's the greatest time in history. Seriously. We'll be right back with Roger Stone with breaking news. There goes Hotep. I'm Alex Jones. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. They give us our victorious names, like that sellout. It was covered up since the first day of the JFK assassination. A guy that makes me ashamed that he claims he's a Texan, Dan Rather, saying that, the president's of this mean, vicious Wolverine. Well, that's we're going to come out with a T-shirt with that, because that's a good thing to be like a Wolverine. Here it is.
Question, Don. And I think historically, looking at the whole sweep of American history, there were some very nasty periods of incivility in the 1880s, for example, in the 1920s. But no, I don't think we've ever seen anything completely like this. And part of the reason is that whether he is or is not inside himself, that President Trump gives every indication by what he says and what he does and what he doesn't do, that he's mean as a Wolverine. And we've never had a president who had that reputation. We have reputations of presidents who are not very good, presidents who broke the law, in the case of President Nixon.
Mean as a Wolverine. But Trump's pretty nice if you watch his speeches and hear him unless somebody attacks him. Like, he understands the metaphysical rule of don't attack first. And then he's doing nothing but delivering on his record to a level that's got my head spinning. He's got numbers with African Americans that double what they were for Republicans previously. We had Jesus Hotep, who's well-known, a leader in the black community. And he understands that Trump is making a real conscious effort to deploy hundreds of billions of dollars of factories and infrastructure and jobs and hotels and ownership into places like Detroit. Ford and others are announcing huge new plants, huge new buildings, all of it. Chevrolet, all of it. Now, Trump says, though, you got to get the corrupt Democrat unions out of there, and you got to stop trying to, run all this communism garbage. But, but if you want $60 an hour, get out of the way, I'll give it to you, because you're going to want to work. You're going to want to take it in your own hands. Just like he said, I'll give you good Supreme Court justices. And now he's about to get his second pick. Just like he said, I'll give you fixing the VA. It's beginning to happen. Just like I'll give you securing the borders. Just like I will get out of your way and give you tax cuts. And I will begin to abolish Obamacare. And I will kill the IMF and the World Bank. I'll get us out of the unelected TPP. I'll renegotiate NAFTA and GATT. I will. For 30 years, they've been suppressing all these incredible cures and treatments, which are for the criminally, globalists. They don't want you to have. And he's doing everything he said he'd do. People say, well, how can it be so different? Because the globalists have a management strategy of suppressing, of feudalism, of not letting the people get it. So if you want your birthright of Americana and its dream that was never fully realized, but everybody wanted to come here because it was still the best place ever. Because that's what good things are made of, is dreams, believing, striving. If you want that spirit, then you've got to be part of it. And every evil cockroach is scared. Now, Roger Stone joins us fresh off the plane with exclusive. Already, Andrew Napolitano, we should recap that, was told, you're the front runner by the president. We're not trying to box the president or steal his thunder. That's a fact. He'd be the great guy. We can recap that, but also the hearings today, Roger Stone being brought up. We've got Gowdy, we've got Jordan, we've got others get him right in the crosshairs to the current FBI director and Rosenstein, the president of the country, he thinks, catching him in huge lies about there no investigation before June 2016 and not knowing about the dossier and not threatening staffers of Jordan who are ready to go under oath, all of this. And then, well, that's not true. What about this guy that came and visited Roger Stone without a Russian name? He changed it to a fake, Western-sounding name. Again, them being caught. So it seems like the wheels are coming off at this magic moment, and even The Hill and the New York Times are saying, okay, get ready to be disappointed. It looks like they're at least talking about shutting down the fake Russiagate because Gowdy said you're killing America. This is an attack on America. Or are they feigning that? Is it a feint? And they're going to come back with their left hand with a dagger. Again, I just want to move past that to begin prosecuting them. And not that I've got a vendetta, but Hillary and people like this are not going to go away, in my view, until they're given free helicopter rides out into the ocean to whatever island they want to go to live happily ever after. So, that's my view. I mean, Roger, thanks for joining us.
Alex, that beard is looking really good. I like the whole Abraham Lincoln thing. It's working.
I may have to cut it, though, because, I mean, the ladies, they do like it. I don't want our men to grow these things. It's like, women had never shown any interest in me in my life until I grew this beard, and now it's much worse.
So, look, there's so much news here, it's hard to know where to start. The New York Times broke a story only hours ago that Andrew Miller, a former associate of mine, essentially my wingman for a number of years.
Now, let's be clear. You off record for months have been telling me they were grilling him, everything. We didn't want to say it yet and flush him out to do this, but now we can talk about it.
Well, they have subpoenaed him, Mr. Mueller has, but the story is not the subpoena. The story is his motion to quash, which I understand will be based on the legal opinion of Professor Stephen Calabresi of Northwestern University. This will question the entire constitutional authority of the entire Mueller investigation. This is the case that Paul Manafort, in my opinion, should have filed, but didn't. So Miller has not worked for me for 3 years. He's a good man. He was a traveling aide for Governor Gary Johnson in the 2012 campaign.
He is a registered libertarian, supported the Johnson-Weld ticket in 2016. He did come to the Republican National Convention to help us out. You met him there, Alex. He was there for a week. What the special
Let me correct it. I was conflating it with the other aide. Sorry.
But the real question is, and we have known that they were seeking to question him. The real question is, why would you want to speak with someone who didn't work for me at all, except for the 1 week period of the National Convention during 2016, during the presidential campaign? So it's very odd, and I think it demonstrates what we have said all along. This is a witch hunt. They are examining me for any extraneous offense that they might.
Sure, it's a dragnet of dragnets, and we'll get into that. Everybody knows you're innocent, Roger. Okay, being a man, you're not innocent. Being a commie or working with the Russians, yeah, you're innocent. So am I. Everybody gets that. So what do you make of these hearings? I've only been on planes today, but this was spectacular. I mean, Gowdy screaming at him, saying you're destroying America. Jordan saying, why are you hiding documents? Rosenstein saying, I'm not. Yeah, you're a damn liar. I mean, they were saying, damn it, stop lying. I mean, this was explosive.
Yeah, it was really quite extraordinary. I was able to look at it very quickly, at least snatches of it. Look, if the president ever had the reason, the grounds for firing Rosenstein, it is right now. He is ignoring a demand of a co-equal branch of government. Asked directly, what can you tell us about the FBI informant who was sent to see Roger Stone? Nothing. What can you tell us about the FBI informant who was sent to see Michael Caputo? Nothing. What bothers me, Alex, is their informant, who has a history of violent gun crime in the past, has gone missing. They can't find him. Is he coming after my family? I don't know. I'm deeply concerned about that. How is he even in the country with that kind of...
Let's be clear. He's a convicted guy of violent crimes, a Russian operative that uses fake Western names who they tried to breadcrumb you with, and then now he's missing. Yeah, I would be. He looks like quite a hombre.
Yeah, look, I have a legitimate concern that he's going to come after my family. I know Michael Caputo feels the same way.
Well, what did I advise you 4 weeks ago in person to do?
Move to Austin, Texas, and go to a safe house. Oh, wait a minute.
And then I would raise you the money. Roger, we need to get you moving around. Let me tell you something. They already tried to kill you, okay? And believe me, I've got sources. They want you dead to pin it all on. You knew this a year and a half ago. And the fact that you're still at your house and all the rest of it is just you're asking for it. And I get you got to fly around and stuff, but, man, I would book flights last minute. I would do everything because let me tell you, they are 100% wanting to shoot you. They want to kill you dead in a hammer. And I know your wife would like to hear that, but it's the truth. So she'll be glad I'm telling you. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to raise money for Roger, though. They're trying to bankrupt him, us too. I mean, it's incredible. We'll be right back. Infowars.com, newswars.com. Tomorrow's news today. We'll get to the new Supreme Court nominee. You heard it here first. And a lot more straight ahead. When I sit up here on air and I say Infowars is the front line, we're the tip of the spear, it's the truth. When I tell you that what we cover here more than anywhere else, because imagine the amount of truth that's here every day compared to Fox News, and I'm not knocking Fox, it's at least pro-America somewhat. A year ago, it was trying to go the other way, but that failed, management changed, and it's back on track. Infowars, other than like DrudgeReport.com, and Hannity to some extent, is the only place that the real talking points are getting out. So when Roger Stone talks about they're coming after him and he's got cars T-boning him, he's getting shot in the back with polonium darts, I've seen the medical records. When we're talking about they're coming after us, George Soros is suing us, there's hundreds of articles this month saying the war against Alex Jones, the war to shut down the press. They filed amicus briefs saying we want to end the First Amendment, it's a bad idea. Then the Democrats point at Trump and say he's overthrowing the Constitution when the Supreme Court rules he's dead on because he is. So we are Americana. We want prosperity for you and your family. But if you don't recognize that we're not up here going, oh, we're really important, oh, we're under attack, without you, we're going to go down. It's like the Alamo, Colonel Travis, when he knows 8,000 Mexican troops are coming, he's got 180-something men, a couple women, and he says, victory or death. If you don't get here, I think we'll be dead in a week, but that's okay. We're going to stand up and buy you time and get ready. I think we'll kill a couple thousand. They're going to be on their way up to you. Take care of my little boy that my family raised at Gonzales. But the whole point is that it's not like he's a loser. He's a winner. He knows a tyrant that's hated in his own country is coming, who's taking all the tax money and trying to take the guns, trying to take the land people paid for. He's coming. And 30% of the folks that were in the Alamo were Mexicans. They didn't want to be under Santa Anna, a dictator. They wanted the land they had and their guns. You think Santa Anna let the average Mexican have a gun? No. And if I was at that same spot today, knowing this army, estimated to be 8,000, which it was coming to kill me, but I knew that I had to buy time, be an example for people, I would do it. Because there's things big in this universe. Now, I'm not saying we're going down that road, but Travis asked for the help. Travis asked for he wrote the letter. And by the time it got to him, the Alamo had already fallen. The point is, we're going to see this through. Everybody knows it metaphysically. The enemy, Soros knows. Soros knows at a spiritual level. It's not even some macho thing that I want to die. I don't want to die. I want to win. And if I have to die for humanity to win, to ensure the big victory, then I'm all about it. I just want to judiciously use my energy, my blood, my intellect to crush them. And it's like we're a ship, and we've got sails, and we're going to ram the enemy. And when you support us financially or spread our articles, our videos, our material, and realize it's the forbidden information, the most suppressed stuff out there in congressional hearings is Alex Jones, Paul Watson. And that's what comes up in the hearings. They want it in the Veritas videos. What is it about it? It's the spirit. It's the reality. It's the truth. It's the commitment. They know that we've got their number, and they want Roger's silence so they can destroy him. They're suing him, the former president, all of them. And he gets them thrown out, they file more. And you're like, well, then they'll keep, no, they're going to run out soon. They're already, so I'm just telling you, Infowarstore.com, go there, get fluoride-free toothpaste you and your family needs. Get great water filtration, air filtration, get the great products, get Extend-A-Wise, great heart pills we've got, get the air filtration. And go to stonedefensefund.com and make a $100 donation. If you're a wealthy person, I love how wealthy folks sit on the fence thinking they got to head that way. Well, maybe in past seasons, not in this cycle. You don't get off the fence now, you're asking for it. So if you're wealthy, give a $1,000 donation. If you're not, give a $10 donation. People are like, I'm not really doing too well. I got a paycheck very small. All I gave us $5. Your $5, like the widows might, is more important than some millionaire. You know, and I love these millionaires and billionaires. They've called me over the years. Some of them finance some of the groups you see today. And they're like, well, we want you to do this certain agenda. And it's always a test. I'm like, sorry, I can't control myself. I can't sign on to your agenda. If you like what we're doing, give us money. But it's never big money. It's always little people giving us money. So you can donate, ladies and gentlemen, Infowarstore.com. There's links there. There's a lot of places for you to donate, but the bottom line is, if you believe in what we're doing, and if you want to see it continue, you want to, hear about next year's news before anybody else hears it, you want to stand against globalists, and you want to be part of history, now is the time. So Infowarstore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139, or StoneDefenseFund.com, because this is it. I mean, turn on the hearings. It's Roger Stone. Go to the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's Get Alex Jones. And people are like, well, you're a dumbass going up against them. No, if I was a man, I mean, I never went and got my inheritance. I'm going to go back to Roger in a minute. I never went and got my inheritance. And I mean, it's quite substantial. Everybody else in the family, Texas had some land, had some things, had some, this or that, had some businesses, had some gas, had some oil. And I remember saying, no, I don't want my inheritance. You don't have to sell that land and give me money. I don't want to go live in a fancy house and have a trophy wife and then not work and go to the Rotary Club and act powerful and the golf course and be some candy ass like some distant family members, people I know. I want to build everything myself because then it's mine and has value. But that's the whole point of this thing, is that it's you making the right decision. And there's all these wealthy people that are sitting on the fence when Donald Trump's lost $1 billion in this whole fight for us because he realized he'd lose it all if he didn't. Trump loved America. He loved prosperity. It's not out of greed. It's out of love that he sacrificed all this and put it all on the line because he couldn't believe that people hated it so much and wanted to screw it away for no reason as a pissing contest. Well, now you've got a chance when we're already winning. The tables are hot to jump in and tell your neighbors you support Trump, to tell your neighbors you support Infowars, to tell your neighbors you gave $1,000 to Alex Jones or Roger Stone, to filter your damn kids' water. And fund us. It's everything I do is a 360 win. I don't do anything that doesn't help people because let me tell you something right now. I gauge it all in my spirit. If it isn't in line with God and with God-fearing, and if it hurts somebody else, I don't push it because I'm not going to dirty my spiritual future for any other person. And I don't want to dirty the future of my children and their children where the globalists will take control and brainwash them and destroy them and then steal their souls. This is what this is, these vampires. These damn to hell pieces of crap. If you don't double down now, forget the money. If you don't go out and hold out a sign and support free speech of the Second Amendment or Trump, if you don't put some flesh in the game, you are damned to Hades and you are a servant of evil. So I'm telling you right now, decide which side you're on. And all of you out there on the fence, get off the fence. Join Hillary and the globalists and Michael Moore and Rosenstein and all the globalists, or join us. Stop sitting there on the sideline. Roger Stone.
Alex, you couldn't have said it any better. I just came back from New Orleans and I ran into a lot of info warriors on the streets. But they would all ask me, are things really as dire as you and Alex keep saying they are? Folks, we're not exaggerating at all. These multi-million-dollar lawsuits are designed to close InfoWars down.
And if you just get off the bench, we crush them. All I want's the victory.
They intend to try to jack me up on some frame to try to get me to testify against the president. Not happening. They intend to get InfoWars off of YouTube, off of Facebook, off of Twitter, close us down, shutter the place. That's what they want because we're the cutting edge. They can't stand the truth that we're delivering. That's why we need your help. There's no exaggeration here. We're not hyping this to get your dollars. We're calling on you because we're
giving you a decision. You either spiritually, psychically, financially support us or just consciously know the enemy's winning. And by the way, I'm not even complaining. Whatever happens, happens. And we're getting a lot of great support. I just want folks to know that we tend to be so confident, we don't let people understand the level of the game we're at here, Roger.
Well, I don't know what others will choose to do, Alex, but I know what you will do, and I know what I will do. I will fight to the bitter end, but I can't do it alone. We need the folks out there to get on board and help. They threatened to bankrupt me and destroy my family. StoneDefenseFund.com. They threatened to close Alex Jones's entire operation in InfoWars down, take us off of the net. Nothing would make them happier. That is their
They
goal.
admit we are the beta test to ban and end the whole web.
So the time is now. People need to choose sides. If good people don't step forward, this fight will be lost. But if people come together behind our message of freedom, if they will stand with us, we will prevail. They're on the run right now. They're in retreat. And now with Trump having another Supreme Court nomination, Trump derangement syndrome is going to reach an even higher level.
And I want to explain that paradox. We're having big victories, but we can't underestimate the undercurrent of the enemy and how they're going to lash out then at main attack guns. I mean, imagine like they see Roger and myself, others as main guns, which we are, because you're the audience, you're the real power. And so they're gunning for everything right now. So support your local TV and radio stations as well, and be proud you're under attack. Be proud that you're actually on the winning side. Back in 2 minutes, final statements from Roger Stone, then Lionel, former prosecutor and expert in a lot of this is coming up. This is an incredible time. Roger Stone, StoneDefenseFund.com, StoneDefenseFund.com, Infowars.com. And listen, all of you that already donated and bought products, God bless you. You've already come this far. I'm just saying some of you get off the bench. History's repeating itself. Right at the 11th hour, liberty's coming back. Roger, the big Supreme Court issue, so much more that's going down. But you mentioned Phil Mudd, used to run counterterrorism operations. He was a CIA infiltrator of the left, brought in by Mueller to try to spy on the FBI. He's a really bad dude. He's always calling for the president's death. I'm not a macho guy. You know, I don't talk about stuff that I won't back up. But Phil Mudd talking about killing the president and how we need to be violent and all this crap. At a certain point, man, the Justice Department doesn't have the will to indict him. This is a war. He's an enemy combatant at this point. And I don't know why different defense intelligence, Marine Corps intelligence, the Army, why they're sitting back while Mudd does this.
It's really quite extraordinary. If you said that you were going to kill Barack Obama, I think you'd have a visit from the Secret Service within hours, if not minutes. But there's a double standard here. This guy openly threatened to kill the president of the United States in a TV interview. Where's the outrage?
And he's still doing it. He's saying we're going to take him out. So I like, as a citizen, I feel derelict. I'm not going to do this, but I feel like getting in a car and going to Virginia, man. That's my president. That's my country. If everybody else is going to stand down, Mudd, you better watch your ass.
Well, now you sound a little bit like John Brennan. Look, this is unbelievable that he can get away with this. but it just shows you the media double standard.
Well, I'm not saying I'm doing anything to mud. You got a guy on TV saying he's going to overthrow the government, he's going to kill the president. I'm just saying, I mean, I've had people threaten my family and stuff. I've sued them. I mean, you know, a bully said, I'm going to kick your ass. I met him out in the playground. I just don't understand it.
It is a little hard to fathom. I do think the big news, though, and we were ahead of this curve here on Infowar, is the retirement of Justice Kennedy. Now, I reported late last year that Kennedy was next to go, other than Ginsburg. But ironically, with the appointment of Judge Gorsuch, who had been a clerk for Kennedy and for whom Kennedy had some affinity on a personal basis, Kennedy decided to stay around on the bench for a little longer because I think he enjoyed that relationship. Now, consistent with our prediction, Judge Kennedy, a Reagan appointee, will retire. Now, I believe Judge Andrew Napolitano is a frontrunner. We know he was the emotional first pick of the president for the Gorsuch seat. His name is not on the list that was prepared by the Federalist Society, largely because he asked that it be taken off because of objections at Fox News under Roger Ailes at that time. But I really think he is a contender. The president gave him some indication of this back during the Gorsuch selection. And I don't think the president could make a better choice than Andrew Napolitano. Solid conservative, but with a libertarian bent, a pro-freedom bent, very much in the running, of what I hear.
Well, to be specific, President Trump said, you're my next pick if everything works out round 2. So we'll just say he's at the front of the pack. He's in the pole position.
Sure. Now, we know there are certain establishmentarians who will seek to block him, and the treachery inside the Trump White House knows no bounds. That's what's so ironic, is that the president has gotten so much of his agenda done, despite the fact that he has these quislings around him who are saying, oh, no, you can't cashier the Iran deal, Mr. President. You've got to sign the Paris Accords, Mr. President. But Trump sticks to his guns. He's one of the most stubborn men I know. And I mean that in a positive sense. When he makes up his mind to do something, he will do it, and he cannot be talked out of it.
All right, back in 60 seconds to put some bookends on this. And I want to be clear about Phil Mudd. I'm not somebody like him who talks about violence all day. And, you know, my great-great-grandfather wasn't the guy that, you know, helped shoot Lincoln in the back of the head. So I get, you know, he's a really bad guy. I'm just saying he wants to kill America's recovery. He's running around saying he's going to kill people. All right, finishing up with Roger Stone, who in an hour will be hosting the War Room with Owen Schroyer just back from D.C. He was all over the hearings today. So many clips I can't even get into it. But Jordan and Gowdy kept saying, well, did you ever send anybody to spy on Roger Stone? Did you ever send an informant, which we know they did, and Rosenstein was lying about it and everything. We're at such an epic moment here in history. I always don't want to be too confident, Roger, but it does seem like the worm's turning. Not in some utopia, but at least we get some decent leadership that's trying to fix things. On your gut-level radar screen, what are you worried about? What are the curveballs? How do you think the deep state's going to strike back?
I just can't see them, Alex, ever handing over this information on the illegal, unconstitutional surveillance of Americans and the political use of the FISA warrants.
And let me interrupt you. You said on January 20th, outside the inauguration, before we went in and after, you said the illegal surveillance is the key to bringing it all down. It's 100 times bigger than Watergate. You said this is the key. Now that's all over the news. You were the trailblazer. It's just a fact. And so you're back to this. What is it Rosenstein will not turn over? Because he denied that he was even turning stuff over. I mean, he lied incredibly today.
This guy is a weasel. You can see it. We have him, thanks to Reince Priebus, probably the president's single worst appointment, Mr. Rosenstein. He is the de facto attorney general. But this surveillance is the cornerstone of this entire hijacking of an American election. If you pull out the cornerstone, it will all, or I should say the keystone, it will all collapse.
It's the linchpin.
And they know it. They know it. Because it completely exposes the effort by the Obama administration to wire the election for Hillary. This was the insurance policy that Strzok is talking about in his text messages. That's why I don't think Rosenstein will ever yield. which is why the president needs to fire him.
What do you make of the amazing revelation that Jim Jordan's staff and others have been threatened directly by Rosenstein, and then he lies and says he never did it, and Jordan's like, I've known these people for years. You did this. And then he makes a joke about, we don't subpoena phone calls. No, just the records, you little weasel.
I would say it's a very clear case of obstruction of justice. And he is trying to thwart the legitimate oversight authority of the U.S. Congress. It just demonstrates their total lack of any respect for the rule of law. When the FBI director gives his little speech, which we played on the War Room, talking about their respect for oversight, they don't respect oversight. They thwart oversight.
Well, that's right. And we've got Fox News, AP, and others with copies of emails from Rosenstein saying, I'll subpoena you, and then he gets up and says, I didn't do that, but does a little lawyer proviso, we don't subpoena phone calls. So, I mean, God, that is such an aggressive mooning of Congress, the American people, by Rosenstein. I mean, his bravado, his chutzpah is amazing.
Well, and if you look at the size of the cufflinks that the guy is wearing at these hearings, he clearly has not read Stone's rules.
How big should the cufflinks be?
Small. Understated is the key. Look, this guy just oozes insincerity. And we need a house cleaning at the Department of Justice. There's just no question.
Why does he think laughing at Congress and getting all his minions to laugh at Jordan, I mean, does he have no instinct that, like, going and lying? Like, I think he didn't get that he was being destroyed in delayed order today. I don't get the arrogance of these guys.
Well, but except for he's in it now. There is no turning back, because what he's covering up is the key to the entire abuse of power by the Obama administration. He's only nominally a Republican. He's actually in this job at the recommendation of Congressman Elijah Cummings. That's beyond belief.
No, I understand. So you're in the jaws of this most historic witch hunt in U.S., maybe world history. You know you're innocent. You know it's all, but they're not going to give up. So how do you, just in 60 seconds, we're going to the next co-host, how do you see this unraveling, or where do you see this going?
Well, it's very hard to know. On a personal basis, all I can do is try to build a war chest, because I know I'm going to a thermonuclear legal war, and they have the vast machinery and resources of the government. I sleep well at night because I know I've done nothing wrong. And I know that all of my political activities in 2016 to elect Donald Trump were perfectly legal. There is no Russian collusion.
But I know what they were. It had nothing to do with Russia. It was reach black voters, reach women. I was involved. It had nothing to do with the Russians.
But, you know, why are they looking at my tax returns? Why are they looking at my financial records? Why are they asking questions about my family life, my relationship with my wife, my sex life, how much I drink, whether I smoke marijuana? Who cares? What does this have to do with the election?
Let me ask this selfishly, because you said like a third of the questions were about me even a few weeks ago. Other people have told me that. Have they tapered off me? Because I heard there's like me in films and Joel Gilbert now, like our films are evil.
Yeah, they're very focused on the documentary Vanished, the Danny Williams story, which first premiered here at Infowars. 38 million Americans saw that. It was legally financed, it was legally promoted, and it was very successful. We're being penalized for effectiveness. We're being penalized because we supported Donald Trump. This is a witch hunt. It's a political persecution. It has nothing to do with breaking the law. It has everything to do with silencing me so that I can't come on Info.
I agree. Let's look at the president. He seems turbocharged, like he's winning. The energy level's way up, the peace deals, everything. Let's talk about Trump right now. And just knowing him for 40 years, it seems like Trump's going into his next mode, attack mode. I think they should be worried.
Well, his political capital has never been at this level because we have a booming economy, and it's just going to get better. His corporate and personal tax cuts haven't even had a
And
chance.
we've got Supreme Court rulings, new Supreme Court nominations. I mean, he's like, wow, royal flush here.
And he doesn't get credit for the conservative judges he's appointing at all levels. I mean, he is redoing the judiciary for a long
So, in
period of
closing,
time.
how does Soros and Hillary, because that's who still runs the Democratic Party, how do they counterstrike?
Look, the Mueller thing is not going to go away until the president fires Mueller. It's just a sad truth. Look at this piece in Bloomberg this week. Mueller to now focus on Russian collusion. I thought that's what he's been doing for the last 2 years. And then they recycle the same old thing. Oh, the Donald Trump Jr. meeting. Well, they never mentioned that the Russian woman lawyer, who is clearly a plant, meets with the people at Fusion GPS before and after.
Yeah, we all know it's a fraud, but let's go past that. Why would the Russians be able to engineer defeating the Democratic Party, rebooting America, having the best economy in 60 years, bringing everything back? Wow, if this is Russian management, thank you, Vladimir Putin. But of course it's not. You and I both know it's us. It's the American people. It's all of us taking action and wanting to get away from, I mean, even Conrad Black of the Bilderberg Group came out and said, this isn't any Russians. We've had globalist programs to keep America poor, to siphon off its wealth for decades. We were a pressure cooker about to explode. Trump realized that with others, and they're just saying, why not have prosperity? I mean, I just can't believe the weird hard-on that Obama and the globalists had to, like, screw America. Let me ask you that in 60 seconds. Why do the globalists hate America so much? What is their mental illness?
Because they're for one world government. They're against American sovereignty. Look, the one thing about Trump that people need to understand is he believes in success. He believes in winning. He wants to see this country richer and more prosperous than ever before. But he wants it to be at the family level. He wants your family to be rich and to have opportunity and prospects. And he also knows that this is the keystone to his long-term political success. That's why he has got a nice bounce in his step these days.
That's right. He is all in. His success is bound to American success. We finally have it. And someone who's not a coward, who's committed, and who is blooming under our spiritual support. Roger Stone, amazing job. StoneDefenseFund.com. Donate there, folks. Donate at InfoWarsStore.com. We need your support. This is a great opportunity to be involved in this. Lionel's coming up. Stay with us. Thank you, Roger. Well, we've got breaking news from Fox News in Town Hall. Mass shooting in a newsroom, in Maryland newsroom. Fox News is reporting that there are multiple fatalities, and arrest might have been made at the sheriff of Anna County spoke to Shep Smith. We'll keep you updated. And go ahead and scroll down on that because I've got my article cut off here. I can't read it. Go ahead and scroll down, please. So we've got that going on right now. Lionel is about to be taking over. So we have reports of a shooting in Maryland at a newspaper newsroom. And we'll have more of that as it unfolds. Here's a clip from Fox News breaking it down. It's at the Capital Gazette newspaper. Here it is.
We get a better idea of kind of what the response is for this. And we've seen a lot of these, Shep, whether it's a hospital or a newspaper or a school, you can get an idea of what's happening inside the building by what's happening outside. Are they in barricaded positions? You can see at the top right hand of your screen, there seems to be some officers kind of gathered there. Well, you saw there, we don't have control of the helicopter pictures, but there seem to be some officers or first responders, medical personnel that are outside the building kind of openly walking around, which is a sign that they don't believe, or at least history tells us it's a sign that they no longer believe that an active shooter poses an imminent threat to those who are outside the building, which is, in a case like this, a smidgen of good news in what looks to be a very dark day in Annapolis, Maryland. Shep, we're going to gather some more information on what
folks,
we
it's the Capital Gazette newspaper.
In and outside the building. Once
reportedly multiple people shot. We'll watch that. But notice when there's hundreds of car deaths a day, no news. Hundreds of stabbings, no news. They just hype shootings. We hope it isn't a giant shooting. We're sad for whoever's been shot. But those are the type of things that happen in any society where you got 330 million people. Active shooter at 888. Best Gate, please help us. That's the type of news coming out. It's a bunch of incoherent gibbering at this point. So we'll continue to follow all that. But quite a historic point we're at right now. Lionel of Lionel Media joins us. He's taken over the broadcast. A great syndicated talk show host in his own right. We'll obviously probably cover this as we learn more about it. But what do you make of the Supreme Court situation? What do you make of what happened in Congress today with those incredible hearings and Rosenstein saying that he knows nothing and I think perjuring himself from what we already know on the record. This is just an amazing time. What would you, Lionel, call this time we're alive in right now?
Well, very fascinating times. First, in terms of the actual makeup, this will absolutely guarantee, the first rule is, a conservative majority. Next rule is, that doesn't make any difference. Look, Alex, one of the things that people forget is that these judges, these federal judges, may have very, very serious belief systems and the like, but they are federally trained. They tend to be very, very scholarly, and that's why, with all due respect, love Judge Knapp and think he's terrific on TV. He will never be a Supreme Court justice under any circumstance, nor should he be, because you need somebody, very frankly, wonkish and immersed in this. Because what people forget is that the majority of the stuff on their docket is hardcore, boring. I mean minutia. Fisheries Act and going back and whether the doctrine of preemptive the doctrine applies to such and such. I mean, it's not what people think. But here's the interesting part about this. You know, Alex, when these judges and justices put that robe on, something happens. And historically, we have learned when Byron Whizzer White, under John Kennedy, he thought he's obviously one of us, a liberal, progressive. As soon as he put this on, and he basically said, so they can't fire me, he became one of the most conservative justices ever. Then Harry Blackmun. Harry Blackmun was appointed by Nixon. He penned Roe against Wade. And the granddaddy of them all that everybody knows about is Earl Warren. And in fact, Eisenhower called it the worst damn mistake I've ever made in my life. So once this happens, their personalities change. Also, Scalia is not what you think. He did so many cases and so many opinions, and nobody ever read. Nobody went back and poured through them. Whenever they do this, whenever they deny cert, when they basically say, let the lower court handle it, it's basically saying we're not going to do anything. So all I want people to do is don't lose your minds. But the good news is, Alex, I love to see how the left, this intellectually febrile group of people are losing their minds, and they don't know why. They're like this attack dog that just keeps barking and yipping and yelping, and they don't know why. And with Ruth Bader Ginsburg next, I mean, we're going to be talking about now a 6-3 court. I mean, will Joy?
But that's what America needs to counter the bizarre communist Chinese-funded attack on America. I think even American elites realize the country's going to go down if we don't stabilize it. And the left has become this poisonous, crazy thing. And I think there's a real countervailing wind against that.
Absolutely. And I also think something, too. Let's talk about abortion for just a moment. You know, abortion is not going to change. It is just not going to change. You're not going to see it go away. You're not going to see Roe against Wade appealed, or excuse me, reversed, or
no, it's just going to go back to the states.
Well, what's going to happen is you're going to see stare decisis, which is a wonderful doctrine. But one of the things that people forget is that you've got a very, very deep state on the deep bench. And there are too many people, I'm sorry to say, this may be a bit dark, but there are too many people who are Malthusian, too many depopulators who aren't going to allow this form of eugenics and, frankly, genocide to go by the wayside. This is too critical. Nobody's going to get in the way of this. And they're going to talk about, giving in to the will of the people, but nobody wants, and I hate to say it, but this critical means of liquidating basically humanity. If you think that's going to happen, it ain't going to happen at all. But you're also going to see basically tests on it, and you're going to see it chipped away perhaps, but that is there. What's going to be interesting, Alex, and this is the most important, is we need a justice, who is able to understand what the rigors of today's technology are going to mean in terms of artificial intelligence. The fact that we are absenting ourselves.
That's right. While they're busy worried about humans, we have all the technology and these bigger challenges. Are they too old to understand that? You're absolutely right. That's really the critical issue here, is the globalists don't even care what judges and people do now, because they believe they've already leapfrogged so past far that that the real folks, even if they're pro-human, need to understand they need to project what they're doing in their rulings onto that situation, which needs to be always pro-human, always about review, and against big mega corporations and monopolies. And the biggest thing the Supreme Court can do is bust up these big monopolies and break these things up, because if they don't do that, everything else goes out the window.
You've also got transhumanism is going to take on an incredibly important aspect of this. Think about this. You know, Alex, one of the worst things that ever happened, well, in the development of war, was the longbow. Once people became or enjoyed the ability to shoot and to kill from far away, it dehumanized warfare. When you put
You're right. So the Welsh longbow, and then now we have the Predator drone, and then next we have the bioweapon.
Precisely. And when you absent yourself from human interaction, from the notion of conscience, it is devastating.
That's where victory comes from, the original, the two fingers, like, because the Normans would cut those off. It's like, no, I have these, you're going to die.
Plucking the U. Remember, with the finger, plucking the U,
Yes,
so you can pull back the...
We'll be back.
All righty, Lionel with you. Sitting in for the last half hour. There is this shooting. Nobody knows what's going on. And you would think people would perhaps leave it at that. And I also have to say that, you know, Fox News does a hell of a job. Shep Smith, when it comes to, he's doing more and more, sadly, more and more shootouts than he used to do. But he's very, very good. I mean, after all, he's no Don Lemon. In fact, Don Lemon is not a Don Lemon. Let me go back to what's going on, my dear friends, if you don't mind me explaining to you this notion about the Supreme Court. A couple of things I want to invite you to do. Number one, please read the decision. Read the Hawaii case. Fine, how are you? I'm sorry. Read the case. Read Judge Robertson, how he basically distilled it. It's very, very simple. There's a beauty in the way courts can review cases. There's a beauty the way it goes through the logical aspect of it, to look at the statute. I don't want to bore you with this, but it's not about I'm a conservative or I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. No, it's very, very linear. It's beautiful critical thinking, critical analysis. That's the kind of judge you need. You need a judge who is going to apply the law. Let me give you an example. There are some things that I personally do not care for. One is the death penalty. Never liked it, especially after being a prosecutor. The last thing in the world I'm going to see is anybody have the right to kill anybody when they're putting the wrong people in jail. Okay. If I were a judge and I were able to get a case and I had to look at the propriety of whether the death penalty was correctly applied, whether it was carried out, whether it was, of course, the will of the people, I would absolutely go ahead and say, as a judge, this is from 2011, I would go ahead and say, nothing wrong with this case. I don't like it. I don't care for it. If I had to deal with the notion of abortion and it's always framed in a particular way, judges don't get broad issues of, is it a human life? Or, I mean, very rarely is that the consideration. It might be something very, very fine-tuned. I have an ambivalence to that. I do not want to see a woman thrown into prison or jail because she gets an abortion. But I don't want her to have an abortion. It doesn't make any sense, and I realize that. I recognize that. There's some times when we have these weird kind of moral ambivalences that don't make any sense. You know, life is precious. Well, but we're for the death penalty, but against abortion, I don't know. None of it makes any sense, and I'm not going to argue the point here. The thing is that a judge, you want to judge, justice, I should say, to be able to look at this and within the framework of that which is provided, answer the question. You know, we all love Antonin Scalia, okay? The guy who, by the way, died in some Illuminati, hunting lodge with a pillow on his head. I've never understood that one. Never. You don't need Columbo to figure this one. The world's fastest autopsy over the phone. Remember when Anthony Bourdain, when they clipped him, or when he died, or whatever it was, quickest thing you ever saw. Remember on CNN? Well, it's a suicide. Okay, next, moving up. Wait a minute. What happened? I don't know. Just fine. Nothing to see here, but that's another issue. But Scalia had this thing where he said, I'm an originalist, and I want to look at the Constitution within the framework of what the original drafters of the Constitution believed. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? You can't do that. The Constitution, have you read it? the Bill of Rights, it's horrible. There's nothing there. It doesn't tell you even how many justices you should have. Doesn't mention the Air Force. Doesn't mention marriage. Doesn't mention voting. Doesn't mention anything. It's bereft. It's bereft. It's wanting of information, of data. It is the worst prose. Even the whole notion, in order to form a more perfect union, a more perfect, what does that mean? If you can understand the Second Amendment, good for you. The point of this is that as the courts have looked at this, they've read into it. We all know, for example, I don't want to bore you with this, but if we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court, you got to know some rudimentary facts. We all know this thing called the exclusionary rule, right? This is where the police, if they break down your door, if they take something, if they don't have a warrant, if they violate the 4th Amendment, that evidence is excluded. It's suppressed. You make a motion to suppress at the trial level. You all know that, right? Makes sense. That's not in the Constitution. That's not in the Bill of Rights. It's nowhere at all. Nowhere. It was a case called Mapp against Ohio, 61. And the Supreme Court created the doctrine of the exclusionary rule. There were justices and judges back then who said, this is ridiculous. You're going to throw a case off because of a constable's error? Sue them. Sue the police officer. Sue the police officer? What are you talking about? I'm on trial for my life. You seized evidence that incorrectly, and I'm going to face the death penalty, and you want me to file a civil lawsuit? What are you talking about? Read the First Amendment. What is covered? Fighting words no good. Libel isn't covered by the First Amendment. What is? The Fourth Amendment says you have to have a warrant to arrest. Nobody has a warrant to arrest. And half of the time we're searching, there's an exception to it. Look, it's a beautiful dance. And the first part of the dance, the first part of the minuet, is to pretend that we're doing something, that we're following some rule. Not really. Here's one for you. Let me ask you this question. You know how the Fifth Amendment works, right? You can't be compelled to give testimony against yourself. Doesn't that make sense? They can't throw you on the stand and say, you, take the stand. Where were you on November 22nd, 1963? I wasn't even born. I'm not going to testify. Oh, yeah? Well, if you don't, we're going to throw you in jail. You have no duty to compel or be compelled to testify against yourself. All the time. It makes complete sense. You as a defendant, you don't have to take the stand. In fact, if the prosecutor even hints, even insinuates. Years ago as a prosecutor, we said, well, I didn't do this, but I heard about this. Sometimes more, older, unscrupulous prosecutors would say, well, in the case where the defendant wouldn't take the stand, they would say, well, they say there's two sides to every story. Well, you never guess with this guy. Meaning, well, why didn't he testify? You can't even, that's a mistrial. It's gone, it's through. Okay. So you understand? Makes sense, right? So you can't be forced to give evidence against yourself. What do you call a breathalyzer? What do you call when you're driving and they suspect you of drunk driving? There's been an accident, great bodily harm, disfigurement, death, whatever. They can hold you down and suck the blood out of your veins. That's not giving compelled testimony? You mean to tell me the case is based on a blood alcohol reading and you're holding me down and you're taking it from me? I'm not giving evidence against myself? You know what the Supreme Court said in the case called Schmerber? I think it was Armando Schmerber, 1970, whatever. They said, that's not testimonial. What? No, that's not testimonial. Field sobriety test, breathalyzer, things like that. That's not testimonial. They make stuff up all the time. They make exceptions. The Supreme Court. So this business that Scalia gives about, well, we don't legislate from the bench. Are you kidding me? All the time. How about fruit of the poisonous tree? That's what people are suggesting right now. They say that the Mueller investigation is so horrible that if I break into a home, let's say I'm an unscrupulous cop, and I take something, and I grab it without a warrant, and from that piece, that thing that I've seized, let's say it's a key to the proverbial locker at the bus station, and in the bus station locker, there's cocaine that I got from this key. the fruit of the poisonous tree, a derivative fine, even that suppressed. Look all you want in the Constitution for that, baby. It ain't there. Some activist court came up with that. So I want a judge who knows when to be active, knows when to realize it. Don't call the Constitution a living document. I know that's a very dangerous thing to say. But there are things that evolve. And I'm telling you right now, when you have artificial intelligence, when you have cloning, GMOs, patent, copyright, you're going to have issues that are going to confound the average Joe. More coming up with me, Lionel. Alrighty, Lionel, with you. Please, absolutely effervescent being here today, and I thank you so much. By the way, this is for Roger Stone. I hope my cufflinks are not too garish for you, my sartorial sultan you. I love that man. Now, a couple of things here. In New York this week, we had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio, what am I saying? Cortez. Blew out Crowley. This is the greatest thing. Now, wait. I know what you're thinking. They're going crazy with her. There, look at that face. Meet the face of tyranny and suffering. Alex, the king of the understatement. Oh, Alex, yes. No, we need this. If you think Venezuela is awesome, you'll love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is the greatest thing that's ever happening because right now, they're sitting in the hallowed halls of the deep state saying, holy God, what the hell is happening? Who? She's who? He's twice her age. Crowley's twice her age. Spent her 18 to 1. And she basically said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to say some things on my own and I'm going to use my Twitter. She did a great video. By the way, that MJ, what is it? Hagar, The Door. Did you see that video of the woman, The Door? This is some of the best stuff possible. So right now, Hillary Clinton and others, Debbie Wasserman Schultz and this crew are saying, what do we do? What do we do? And they're grooming her like, this is the future. They're saying, no, this is not the future. This is the greatest thing ever for Trump. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Or as my friend says, I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can be. Which I said, what? But I'm going to tell you, I'm not a doctrinaire, right-wing, left-wing. I know I'm mamby-pamby. I'm kind of I don't have any names. I'm Carol Quigley all the way. Two sides of the same coin. The paradigm, the illusion of the left-right stuff. All these words mean nothing to me. Sometimes I agree with this one, I agree with that one based upon the issue. But I don't have any label. But I will tell you this. I'm loving Trump. Oh, my God. If you had told me that I'd be having this much fun, that I'd be having so much fun in this sick Schadenfreude, my wife and I, we have these people, these ex-friends of ours who are going crazy. And I have been portrayed by many people to be this right-winger. It's like, okay, fine. But this is going to play into the midterms, into Trump 2020. He's going to say, ladies and gentlemen, do you know what the Democrats are? Let me go to you, Mr. and Mrs. Mainstream America, Mr. and Mrs. Heartland, Mr. and Mrs. And by the way, the Heartland isn't Dubuque or Des Moines. It could be Brooklyn. It could be the Bronx, Kings County in Brooklyn. It can be, it's a mindset. It means the average, the Gaussian curve, just the middle, the bell curve, the middle, just the regular people. I'm going to say, you know what the Democratic Party is? Here, this is it. She wants to get rid of ICE. She wants to disband completely and enforcement. Get this. She wants to get rid of that protector of your sovereignty. This is what she wants to do. Look at this. Just go through the list. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you go ahead and you do this. And Hillary and others are going to be thinking, oh, my God, this is not what we're doing. Because believe it or not, Crowley was more Trump than she is. Let them go far left and encourage it. Encourage her. Let her build up her cadre. Because what she also is, she appeals to the disenfranchised Bernie voter. See, this is the thing that's just interesting. You know, Trump is going to one day do his version of the Southern strategy, but in a different way. He's going to go after the millennial strategy. He's going to talk to them, and he's going to say, let me explain something to you. You were left out by these people. You were basically hosed. Pardon my French, but you were hosed. You were betrayed. Betrayed by these people. You had your chance to feel like you had your candidate, Bernie. She's going to be what? Some ersatz version, some synthetic knockoff of this? What we have in common is the middle class, lowering your taxes, getting rid of $1 trillion of debt that your generation enjoys. I am telling you, you people think I'm nuts, which I could be, but not for this reason. You're going to have Trump saying, listen to me, look what he's doing with Kanye, Candace Owens, with Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan, and I'm not endorsing him, but he said, with Mr. Trump, his enemy is our enemy. The enemy, my enemy, is my friend. Unbelievable. And Hillary's thinking, what the hell is going on here? Farrakhan, Kanye, Candace, bring them all. You see what we have right here? I want a hip-hop summit. I want to have young people, African-American, Latinos, people of color, to say that Trump is cool. And not Candace, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not realistic. Yes, she is young. Yes, but this is antediluvian. Her ideologies are outdated. They're otiose. They're useless. This isn't the way it works. And I also want this message to come out very, very loud and clear. And this is the part going back to because remember, this is 14% of the population. African Americans, 14%. This is serious. This is serious. And we can say, there's no reason for us to fight. Look, I'm Donald Trump, and you think I'm some kind of, that we're antithetical. Trust me, we're on the same page. And think about this. The only reason they even care about these unaccompanied children, the only reason they care about it is one particular reason, because they've squandered your vote. Your vote, Latino votes, people of color, poor, not that everybody who's poor is a Democrat, but they have written you off. Now, let me ask you this hypothetical. Don't you love thought experiments? I do. Assume, as we lawyers say, arguendo, for the sake of argument, assume the following. What would happen if Trump could say this? All right, I'll make a deal with you. Chuck Schumer and Sotomayor or whatever, everybody comes in. In fact, you just point to them, and they come in. I'll give them each $1,000. Come on in. Accompanied, unaccompanied, I don't care. Oh, but there's only one condition. And you do want them in, right? Oh, yes. You do want them in, not for political reasons. Oh, no, good. They have to sign a waiver. They have to pledge never to vote. They have to give up their right to ever seek the franchise. They can come in here, but we're going to clip their voting wings. They cannot vote. What do you think would happen? Schumer and these people would say, are you out of your mind? Whoa, what happened? Wait a minute. You were worried about the humanity, right? I'm saying bring them in. Open the doors, let them in, take care of them, love them. Oh, what are you doing? They're going to say, we don't care about them. And by the way, let me also say something very, very quickly. There was a time in the 80s in Florida, where I'm from, and when the Mariel boat lift was there, the Marielitos, as we call it, in Miami Chrome Avenue Detention Center, you probably remember this. They were people who came, and Castro was a genius. He emptied his prisons, mental hospitals. Oh, he got rid of it was the brain drain during the 50s and 60s, but this was just not everybody. Don't get upset, but a lot of people that, frankly, he just figured, I'm gonna clean out the loony bin and the hoosgow and let him go. Because when you're standing there in the Mariel Harbor waiting for your Uncle Guzman, you're waiting, and they're saying, no, you got to take these people because your uncle is on the other boat. Just get out. People would come back to the West Coast, Miami, and Tampa, and realize that their loved ones were never picked up. All right, suffice it to say, in those camps, the amount of pederasty, pedophilia, child sex trafficking, bartering was because the children were kept together. When you keep them together, that's when they're preyed upon. Now, I've hit you with a lot of stuff. I've hit you with so much stuff right now, it's unbelievable. And frankly, I understand that it can be a bit daunting. Don't be daunted by this. Understand one thing. Critical thinking is going to set you free. This is not about left and right. This is not even about Democrats and Republicans. This is about truth. This is about the success of our republic. This is about the future of this country. You can't say that enough. It may sound corny to the uninitiated, but believe me when I'm telling you this. We're in a fight for our lives, and we're not going to get another chance. So all I'm saying is this. Open your head, open your heart, and open your mind, and realize the number one thing I'm after is truth. And comment as you see fit.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail. Lock him up.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
A few years ago, ideas that we talked about were thought to be fringe ideas, radical ideas, extremist ideas. Those ideas are now mainstream.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
What's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women?
One way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy, so please bring on the recession.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
It has been said that the Republican Party's testicles just dropped. That wasn't an Infowars.com ad you just saw. That was officially put out by the Republican Party. Ladies and gentlemen, they're finally getting the fact that the globalists are trying to start a violent revolution in this country and overthrow it and bring it down, just like Venezuela and so many others that have fallen to socialism and communism. And now Alexandra Cortez, 28-year-old communist, that's her platform. She calls herself a democratic socialist, is another bellwether winning a primary against the Democrat establishment candidate in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, there are few countries that have not fallen to socialism and communism. And that's because the big mega banks that are offshore finance it to bring down countries and control populations and annihilate middle classes. Much of Central and South America are in open martial law right now, with millions of people every year starving to death or being killed. Hundreds of millions are trying to migrate up to North America, threatening to collapse El Norte as well. Meanwhile, in Africa, in the Middle East, the UN and the globalists came in and funded the Arab Spring to bring down moderate pro-Western governments, engage in mass murder, and then turn the countries over to jihadis, further collapsing the area, then opening the borders of Europe up for full invasion. The UN has now openly announced that they are planning to take control of the EU during this emergency and bring in 200 million people that they will control. This is 21st century warfare. This is happening. But the good news is, all over the world, people are waking up to the globalist plan, thanks to the viewers and listeners of Infowars who have been recognized by the president, by the Pentagon, and by patriots in our intelligence agencies as being the original emergency beacon that started the chain reaction globally, allowing us to see this worldwide movement of populism, nationalism against collectivism and the big mega banks. But we've got to go further now. We've got to identify the big tech giants and the Fortune 100, the IBMs, the Microsofts, the Goldman Sachs, and others that are worth tens of trillions of dollars and are above the law, who are orchestrating this diabolical plan after oppressing the third world, now collapsing it and using it as a weapon against us. The globalists recognize that Infowars has been on the very front lines of this global awakening. And they don't want us to be there as this fight intensifies to continue to rally free humans all over the planet against this diabolical globalist program. That's why it's more critical than ever that you understand that we are not supported by George Soros or any big banks or any big corporations. We are supported by you, the viewers, and the listeners that buy the products at InfoWarsStore.com. We need to be reprovisioned in this fight. We need to be able to fund our operation. And we make it easy with products like Super Blue, fluoride-free toothpaste, mouthwash, immune gargle, and so much more, fortified with colloidal silver, fortified with the highest quality iodine, fortified with natural essential oils, and more. You help your teeth, you help your body, you help your gums, you help your country, you help your planet through free market, free association. The products are 50% off right now, going through our super sale that we're going to have on July 4th. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. This is where you finance the second American Revolution, with the United States now attempting to stop the global government empire, attempting to take back control of our destiny on a global scale.